Vaya, señoras y señores. Welcome, welcome. It is me, your boy, Bot, coming back at you once again with an exciting episode, hopefully, of toys, or not really toys, but of We Got Next. I'm so used to saying toys in my closet. And I know it's a late night edition. I've been trying to get this set up and done basically for a few hours now because it's been a while and I've had a lot of technical difficulties with my computer on the phone. Finally, I got it to work on my daughter's computer, so hopefully everything goes accordingly and we can talk for a little bit here on We Got Next. I'm just excited and glad to be back and try to hopefully speak a little bit about certain topics going on in the gaming industry today, and topics as per usual, but with a little more freedom because it's in my platform, and at my own time and leisure, which is the most difficult part for me when I'm doing the shows with the fellas in the other shows. And tonight, so far, I'm going to have my brother Sega Man right here joining me for a little bit, hopefully. Brother Sega Man, can you hear me? Are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you, brother.
Nice to have you on. Nice for you to join me. Let them know where they can find you.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Sega Man back with another We Got Next with my brother. He bought the most powerful gamer man. You can always find me on my YouTube channel at Sega Man 101 on the Alpha podcast on Saturdays, and with my brother the Unlimited Truth when I can do it, and also on the Exile podcast with my brother E-Rock, and of course always with my brother Hebot when We Got Next, and one more, the Wrecking Crew with our brother Sega Forever, man. How's it going, everybody?
Nice, nice, nice. I did see some people in the comment. Other Zinc, hey, what's up? Unlimited, what's up, brother? Um, I do not know. Uh, yeah, other Zinc said music is a little bit loud. I
You
lowered it.
can hear it?
I, I,
Okay.
I lowered it. I lowered it. We already got a big fan already. Little Bruises 27 saying he
Oh yeah.
bought
Oh.
needs Jenny Craig. Thank you,
Oh.
Little Bruises.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing that
Oh,
out.
nice.
Jenny Craig is always good for the health.
Right.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. And Unlimited, if you want to join us, just let me know. I can always send you a link. And other Zinc, I would love to know where I can send the link to you because I don't even know if I have you on Twitter in my private DMs. I don't think I've ever done that. But again, just let me know, guys. So yeah, bro, how you been, Sigaman? How's
Oh,
everything?
I've been good, brother. I've been good, man. You sound like you relaxed tonight, man. What's going on?
Uh, just I wish I could have started this earlier. I'm there, man. A little frustrated because
Yeah.
my Niners didn't win. They had too much injuries and things just didn't
Oh,
go their way. But that is the nature of football and sports in general. That is why I don't like investing in them anymore.
was it a close
Because
game he bought?
oh no, they kept getting destroyed because they got hurt so many times. I see you unlimited. All right, I see you. All right, I was saying no problem, brother. I got you. Um, but yeah, they got killed, but that's all right. That's all right. So let me send a quick link to our brother Unlimited. Unlimited. I will send it to you on Twitter because I have it open. Um, let's see if I can find Unlimited. So yeah, Sega man, what you been playing, brother?
Oh man, I've been playing a whole lot of stuff, man. I've been playing. I play a little bit more. I'm trying to get back into Hi-Fi Rush, but I actually been playing an old game on the 360 called Mad Hazard. This Mad Hazard game.
Oh yeah, Matt Hazard. Yeah. That game is
Yeah, I
it's
went back.
hard. It's hard. It's like a 3D version. They have like a 3D version. I guess that's the
Yeah,
one you're playing, right? The
that's
one
the,
that
that's
looks
the
like
one I'm playing,
Gears.
the 3D version.
That's
So
like Gears of War.
Yeah, it's just like Gears of War.
Right, right. It has the similarity. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I went back and played that, brother. And what else have I been playing? Played that, and what else, man?
Hey, boss, how are you,
I'm
Fire
not a
Boss?
rush.
How are you, brother? Thank
What's
you
up,
for
Fire
stopping
Boss?
by. Yeah, Unlimited, I sent it to you already,
Just
brother.
a few games, brother. Few
Oh,
games.
that's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, I've been trying out a little bit of everything. I did a playthrough on a couple of games I haven't even uploaded on my channel yet.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, I did like the shmup, which is Zero Gunner 2,
Uh huh.
which was Sega Saturn classic, but also an arcade classic. And um,
Oh, Gunner 2. That's on the Xbox. I think I have that.
yes, it's called Zero Gunner.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
good with the helicopter.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
Uh,
pretty good.
I played Little Olafus.
Mm-hmm.
I played that. Um, I played John Mac. I'm trying to do one for Evil West and one for No More Heroes. Oh no, yeah, No More Heroes 3, and I did one for. Oh, what's the other game? I haven't uploaded yet, but that Blind Fate. It's like a 2D side scroller.
Blind
It's
Fate.
called
Okay.
it's called Blind Fate. Really nice, really dope. What is like it's a cybernetic samurai
Uh huh.
and stuff. So that one's pretty good. Hey Jay, what's going on, brother? How are you, brother? Thank you for stopping by. So I want to start off with one of the topics that I wanted to talk tonight, and basically is about this hypocrisy that we're seeing on on the social media front as per usual. Where now, it's all about the hype of TV and movie medium turned from video games into that the TV and movie format, right?
Yeah.
Where people are not worrying about games anymore. Now they're worrying about these movie interpretations and TV translations of these shows. Uh, when before it was all about games, 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 and doing that the the intertwining or the in the transitioning and unification of gaming media with movies was something that has been tried before since 2013 when Microsoft announced that they wanted to bring in uh that they wanted to bring in shows based off uh shows based off of Forza, off
Yeah.
of Rise Son of Rome, and they even showed like people dressed up in real life in the real world like trying to celebrate the idea, which is what they were trying to do. And quite frankly, I thought it was great. I thought it would have been a great opportunity to expand, Xbox as a whole, the division,
Right.
with tackling the medium of TV and media and movie because it would give it another sense of life extension for people that maybe don't play video games
Yeah.
but love watching TVs and movie shows. I mean, TV shows and movies that would be able to watch these programs and these TV series and these movies made out of these games and would basically maybe give them the interest to want to play the games, which is kind of happening now when you see these people talking about The Last of Us. They're trying to act like it's the next thing or the greatest thing since Jesus Christ when it comes to TV shows and the medium itself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is completely hypocritical and like it's just so mind-boggling to me and really to be honest frustrating
Yeah.
and and makes me angry because the hypocrisy, right? Because everybody was calling all this dog shit during the time when the 2013 launch of Xbox, even though the Xbox brand did have actual, games and titles available day and date when it launched, right?
Yeah.
About 15 titles or 12 titles, right? In comparison to the competition, which was the PlayStation 4. as we know, had only Killzone, Knack, and I think was what was that shooter that was an
Was it
indie
Mag
shooter?
or
No, the indie shooter that kept talking about.
uh, shit? I don't Bug Snacks. I don't know.
No, no, for the PS4.
Ah,
Oh my god, I can't think of it right now. But they kept talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. That's all they ever talked about. Um, when it came to when it came to the games at that time, that's all they were talking about. That particular game, Resogun.
oh
That's what it's
yeah,
called,
that was
Resogun.
that was garbage, huh?
I mean, I thought it was pretty bad to be honest, with you, but
Yeah,
the
Rezo
hype,
garbage. Yeah, I
yeah,
heard that was
well,
bad, man. I heard it was
but
real bad.
the hype behind, they talked about it for almost a year when they were talking about how Microsoft wasn't about the indie space, even though they're the ones that pushed the indie uh, program to the fullest during that generation. Apparently, brand new, yeah. Um, at that time, when it started, in the 360 with the Xbox Live Arcade,
Yeah.
it was all about the indie space and indie developers. The only difference is that they couldn't self-publish; they had to get a publisher, right?
Uh huh.
So it was just one of those things. Um, and so now you see this hypocrisy where, oh, it's AAA quality, it's fantastic, and the real reason why they're sucking on it is because uh because Pedro Pascal, which is being uh which people are praising because he was in the Mandalorian and stuff like that,
Uh huh.
and he's for the most part he's a good actor, right? Because since he's the main character, that's why they're really making a real big fuss about it, to be honest. And so anyway, that's the jazz going on, and I just wanted to talk about it, get your thoughts, and talk about it a little bit because it's rubbing me the wrong way because I'm like, how can you have that kind of yeah, it makes you mad. Other thing, yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, other thing said, yeah, other thing said, I'll show you here. It's funny. Other thing said that let me see if I can bring up his comment. See,
He
make
bought makes me mad.
why? This is flip money. What's
What's
going
up,
on,
Flip?
brother? Thank you for
Flip the
stopping by.
script, flip money.
And yeah, other thing you funny. He said here, look what other thing say. He said Wrestle Gun was a damn arcade version of Defender ripoff. Yeah,
Did you see
for
what?
sure.
Did you see what Fireboss wrote?
What do you put? You talking about kids but acting like one. Yeah, he's talking about I think he's talking about little bruises 27. That he's acting like a clown over here. But here you go.
Oh.
It's broke just like you, see? I'm gonna let him there so that you guys can rip him a new asshole though and get at him.
Uh-oh.
So,
You think the chat's gonna light him up? Oh well.
yeah. Others ain't could take care of it, and so could Flip and any of them. So I'll let him get his ass a little handed.
Yeah, yeah,
I laugh at shit like that. That's what I think is funny.
yeah.
So anyway, unless
Jealousy. Go ahead.
right? Well, I mean, it's ignorance. Obviously, we're talking about games. He
Yeah.
said, "Make me a moderator." How can I do that? I don't even know how to make you a moderator. Other thing, you would have to tell me how to do it, and then I could do it for you, puppy. Let's see. I don't know what that means. Is it when you click on the star, and that's how I can make you a moderator? Oh, there goes unlimited. Let me let him in. Our brother Unlimited should be in. So yeah. So what do you think, Sega? Man, what do you think now that well anyway, actually before you go and answer that, Unlimited, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Oh, nothing, not much.
Just there. Thank you for taking the time. I was just I just asked the question to Sega Man what he thinks about this hypocrisy now about all of a sudden it's a an amazing feat to make these games and transition them into TV shows and movies and
Hmm.
that they're masterpieces now all of a sudden. Meanwhile, when Microsoft had this ready and in place back in 2013, and even though they had games ready to go since launch, at least 12 good titles right from the beginning, that they were trying to say that they were just about the movie, and not games, right?
You're
Even
right.
though even though both mediums can coexist, because it would make sense because it's an extension that you could use to get to other people that are just mainly casuals, or that necessarily don't play video games, right?
Right.
um
Yeah.
and it would catch their interest and tickle their interest to want to play maybe those games, like I've seen now on YouTube with a bunch of people, like John Campia, for example. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he does a show, and now he's like, oh, I'm playing the game, I've never played it before. And even people like Tyrone Magnus, for example, where they're like,
Hmm.
I want to see how I can compare and contrast and see how good and how how uh what you call accurate is to the material source of the game and
Hmm.
things of that nature. So I asked Sega Man to let me know what is his thoughts on that. And by the way, Nesta, thank you. What's up, hermano? Thank you for stopping by. Go ahead, Sega Man. What are your thoughts on that, brother?
Man, it's hard to, hey, he bought, you know how it is, man. We just, bro, it's the same old, man. You know what I mean? Wash, rinse, and repeat, brother.
Hmm.
Wash, rinse, and repeat, man. So, uh, I
Have you
don't know.
ever
I don't know what to really like say,
have you seen the adaptation for the Last of Us, for example, or no?
I have not seen. Look, the Last of Us. I played that garbage on the PlayStation 3. I got the Foreman Grill one. You can cook a couple burgers on it. So I got that one, and I got it at Goodwill for like $10, and so I went and got the Last of Us for like $2 at this mom and pop store just to try it out, and
Hmm.
that game is just it's very boring. You can't get right into the game. You have to watch like a fucking half-hour movie before you do anything. You know what I'm saying? It's just stupid. Them riding in the car, they're scared. Oh, what's going on? With the kid in the back and shit. I just lost interest in that game really, really, really quick, man. It was just boring. You know what I mean? It took
Hmm.
so long, he bought to get into the game. It was real slow paced, and it
Well,
just it was just annoying, bro. I actually took it out and said, man, I don't want this shit, and took it and sold it to like I think I sold it to like an exchange or something, man. And I just didn't like it. I tried to get into their games.
right, right, right.
I did. I tried to get into Uncharted. That's another one that's a copycat game. It's pushing boxes around and copying Laura Croft. So I couldn't even get into that, man. I tried, brother. The
Right,
only game,
right.
like I said before, I got into and played was the Resistance games. I beat all three of them, and then that was it. That's all. That's the only game I like from PlayStation was the Resistant games. The others garbage. I mean, it just was garbage to me. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'll put it this way: I didn't like them games. I didn't like God of War,
Hmm. Hmm.
Uncharted, and all that bullshit. And I just didn't like it, man. The
You
last.
know, it's the most hypocritical thing too that had me mind boggled is that in specifically with the story, right? One of the elements of the story, Joe, as we all know, right, or whoever doesn't know by now, I mean, spoiler alert, but still, when they're trying to get away because of the outbreak or whatever,
Yeah.
um, they get chased down by the government, and they accidentally kill his daughter, with him and his daughter trying to get away. And so she passes away. He loses his daughter, and then you fast forward to the future, and he's trying to survive. He formed an alliance with some other people, just trying to survive this pandemic where people are turning into like zombie like and fungus like creatures. But in the TV show, what they did that's so hypocritical is the whole essence in the show is that he forms this relationship with Ellie because she somehow might have the cure, and she wants help to find the cure to save humanity. And Ellie has a very strong resemblance to Joe's daughter, But in the TV show, Joe's daughter, they made her black to kind of bring that inclusivity type of element, right? Which
Yeah.
doesn't make sense because she doesn't look nothing like his daughter, right? Even in the and then if you want to say, okay, well, what about in characteristics, right, or her personality? Even that, her personality is nowhere near the way that Ellie is presented in the show, right? And it's so hypocritical because it's a very strong element in connection to Joe. And the whole point why they try to say that he gets connected to her, feels for her like a daughter, where he doesn't even let her die, even though she wants to help, and told them don't interfere because I want to help cure, find the cure for humanity for the future, right?
Mhm.
And then in this, when you have something like Halo, right, that was done when they changed Captain Keys, which not really 100% connected with Chief, and they made him black, it was a fucking problem. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which doesn't have a legitimate link connection to him intimately or more personal, which doesn't make no fucking sense. Changing Captain Keys to African American or even if he was Japanese or whatever wouldn't hurt the character as long as it's being played by a good actor. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because but when the way they did it with Last of Us, it's just stupid because then it don't even make sense because she doesn't resemble his daughter or act like his daughter. But yet that's why he supposedly gets that connection with Ellie. You see what I'm trying to say? That's
Yeah.
the biggest hypocrisy for me when it comes to the show, and it drives me crazy because nobody wants to point it out. Everybody wants to act like, oh no, we don't realize that because they feel like they say something, oh, that's racist or you're being ignorant or you know what I'm trying to say or feminist or whatever the case may be or anti-feminist, whatever. Um, so that's the biggest thing. And then let's be honest, we've always had good shows and good movies that were translated from back then, even with Mortal Kombat. Maybe the budget wasn't there, but when you look at the movie, it was a good adaptation versus what was presented with the game, Mortal Kombat 1. Even the Tomb Raider movies with Angelina Jolie, or even, the first Silent Hill, which was very, very close to the source material. So to say that, even just as of recent, something like Pokemon, right? Just they try to go back and say, oh no, video game movies always suck because look at Super Mario Brothers with John Leguizamo, which that was years ago, and they try to make it live action from something that's supposed to be more cartoony, which is fucking ridiculous to me. And now they're trying to act like, oh, Sony's paving the way again, but now in the movie medium space, and that shit is what drives me nuts. So Unlimited, you heard the question, you know what I'm talking about, and you've seen the nonsense, I'm pretty sure. And
Hmm.
maybe you're not as much of a movie enthusiast, let's say, as E-Rock or myself, or maybe you are. We never really talked about that, but with all due respect to you, what do you think about that hypocrisy versus what Microsoft was trying to do, and even the fact that Microsoft is now in the works to do a Gears of War movie with Netflix, and they've even invested $20 billion with Netflix to do marketing, and I guess to help make sure that the quality of their movies, like Gears being the first one, is of the highest standard, right, that they possibly can to
Hmm.
make it good and make a good adaptation. But people are trying to act like, oh no, to the point that when this girl from IGN made the interview recently with Phil, she tried to give like a backhanded slap to Phil by trying to say how he felt about the Last of Us TV show being quality versus the Halo show on Paramount Plus, which was a show that cost $100 million to make. You know what I'm saying? How do you
Right.
feel about the hypocrisy?
Yeah, I'm not surprised by the hypocrisy at all. This is pretty much par for the course. Where when Microsoft does it, it's bad. When Sony does it, it's good. And then nobody ever calls them out. On their hypocrisy, basically,
Hmm.
or their blatant favoritism. Um. So once again, as long as Microsoft just do what they got to do, keep pushing forward despite this nonsense, and continue to be who they are. I think eventually people will come to their side on stuff like this. Unfortunately, you know, um, Last of Us gonna get all this credit for rehashing the same story as the game, while the Halo show wasn't a rehash of Halo One. Instead, it was
Mm-hmm.
something different,
Mm-hmm.
to expand the universe. The Halo universe, as our brother Zink always said, has a wide reach of books and comics and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
An animated movie too
Oh yeah,
that was
which I
pretty
got both of
good.
them. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, animated movies and all that. So the Halo lore outside of their mainline games has always been shown to have a larger scope. And here's something I do want to point out. So when
Mm-hmm.
the Last of Us debuted on HBO Max at 4.7 million viewers,
Yes.
the Halo show surpassed 4.9 million viewers when it followed some Western show. And here's the kicker: there are more subscribers to HBO Max than Paramount Plus
Right.
by a pretty
Great point.
significant margin too.
Great
So the
point.
fact that Halo was still able to outdraw the Last of Us shows that they're on two different planes. And
Mm-hmm.
and and for that lady at IGN to pull a Ryan McCaffrey, oh, the PlayStation 4 is a beast, isn't it? To
Mm-hmm.
pull something
Mm-hmm.
like that on the head of Xbox, it's another reason why I don't understand why Microsoft keeps giving keeps giving these outlets time of day.
Mm-hmm.
As Hi-Fi Rush has proven, they don't need IGN to put out successful. You know what I'm saying? They don't need the
Exactly.
IGN monster to
Absolutely.
put out successful content.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the sooner that they start cutting these companies off, like IGNs and the Kotakus, out their lives, I think the better we'll be off for it.
Right. Right. And it's funny. It's almost like you kind of get that feeling, right? Like they're trying to set up Sony, right, to be like the number one in the TV movie space, like the way they try to make them look like in the gaming space.
Hmm.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Like now it's like this big hot topic. Meanwhile, like you just said, Paramount Plus not only does it have less subscribers, right?
Right.
But Paramount Plus managed to get a bigger viewership count with Halo, the TV show,
Right.
right? And the only difference that they also don't clarify is that was the highest rated show for HBO Max as far as I don't know if it was for this year into this year, last year into this year, or of all the shows they ever premiered. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Hey,
Which
brother,
is yes.
you got to get this guy here because he's spelling out the N word.
Oh, that's what he's trying to
Yeah,
do.
you got to get him out of here, man. He's spelling out the he's being racist, man. Somebody has to either report him or get him out of here, man.
Let me see what I got you. Uh, look what he's doing. You're so fucking ignorant. He's putting monkey faces. What an asshole. Anyway, Jesus Christ. Can't do nothing to have a nice time.
Yeah,
Other
I
Zinc, look,
know.
Unlimited. Other Zinc send you said something to you. He said, yeah, Unlimited production. Yes, she pulled the Ryan McCaffrey version of PlayStation is a beast with her Uncharted movie bullshit. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, that's what I was. But it gets me. It gets to me because you see that nobody's talking about this shit, and now they're trying to hype beast the shit, and they're like, yeah, I can't wait until fucking I can't wait until you see like until we see the God of War show or the Horizon Zero Dawn. And it fucking sucks too because
Yeah.
here's
No,
go
I
ahead.
hate to cut you off, but for that Little
No, no,
Bruises
no, no.
guide, you should be able to go to like the right and click something. Oh no, you did
Yeah,
block him.
I did
Why is
block
his
him.
comment still showing up?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's like like when you have like a burn mark on a TV,
Yeah.
it's like it stayed there, but I already blocked it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
he blocked him. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Remember, guys, bear with me because I haven't done this in a while. So I'm getting used to the mechanics again, and it's been a while. So forgive me for that, guys. Facts. He's bugging in the chat. Yeah,
Yeah, Flip.
I got rid of him, Jay. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
Flip. You got to report him, brother.
Yeah, I got rid of him. I got a reporter. Okay, no problem. But thank you. So yeah, so and that shit. That's the shit that's pissing me off because they're trying to do the same hype beasting like I said, with the gaming space now, with the movie space. You know what I mean? And then you don't see none of the outlets pointing the shit out. Instead, they're going along with this shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's not really a big deal as far as gaming topics because it's not necessarily per se directly based off gaming, but it's gaming related. And I wanted to talk about it because and get people's thoughts on it because, you know, I because nobody really talking about it, right? So I figured it would be something interesting to bring up and shit. But we can move it right along anyway
Mhm.
because unless you have anything else you want to add about it and your thoughts,
No, I think I got all my thoughts out.
yeah, all right. What about you, Sega Man? Nothing else? You want to add anything else?
What would you say? What did you say that you really? Would you just say you thought about it on it?
Well, basically, if you have any extra thoughts on that, on that hype beasting that they keep trying to do, pushing it just because it's Sony shows. And no, but what I did wanted to say real quick, which I forgot, and this the messed up part is that the upcoming Gran Turismo movie, right?
Yeah.
It's actually going to be directed by a really, really good director, and the movie actually looks like it's going to be good because of what I saw behind the scenes. And it's unfortunate because Sony has the advantage of being having that connection with the movie division in the movie industry because they've been in the movie space for a very long time.
Uh huh.
So they can have these connections with actual high quality people like that. That can be like, oh, okay, let's do this or let's do that. Because originally, for example, they said that Spielberg was going to do the Halo show, right? Well, he was going to direct it, but instead he ended up being like I think producer or something like that,
Yeah.
or behind it, which I would have loved to see him direct and see what he would have done, because he's such a high quality director, right? And that's kind of like the only thing that gets me mad that they're always in a position where they can have something to kind of save them, right? Because they've been in the movie space, so they have kind of like that little advantage and edge. And then people swear that it's because they're so high quality and they know how to make these great moves. You guys know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just makes me pissed off. Like, go suck a fucking ass, brother. You fucking dickheads. I can't stand that shit. But anyway, moving right along. Hey, Jordy, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. So the other topic I was trying to talk about real quick is, not to be too long, so we won't be long here, is that High on Life came out. Fantastic, wonderful game. We all talked about it until we turned blue. But I love the fact that High on Life came out and basically killed like two or three narratives all in
Oh
one
yeah. Oh yeah.
in the point of what 24 hours, right? Something
I
like
would
that.
say so.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
Hi-Fi Rush, not High on
yeah,
Life.
hi-fi, yes, hi-fi rush. Thank you for the correction, brother. Um, and so people will be like, oh well, what narrative you talking about in per se, right? And here goes brother Zink. He said Microsoft needs to ban IGN, like we just banned that Jim Ryan host this whole host in the chat. He's so stupid. Um, hey Dia, how are you, hon? Dia is saying hello, Hebot, Sega Man, and Unlimited in the chat.
Hello, Dia.
Good to see you
What's
all
up,
doing
Dia?
well. Yes, what's up, dear? I can't stay along online, but I wanted to let you know, Hebot, that I will catch your show on a replay. Have a great show. Oh, thank you, hon. No problem, no worries. So anyway, so yeah. So one of people may know, well, what kind of narrative? Well, one, the fact that it proves that a game does not necessarily have to be a AAA title to be considered quality,
Right.
right?
Right.
It just proved that that narrative is out the window, right? Being one of them. A second one being that it don't need reviews or review codes to be outsourced to gaming media for it to get good reviews and scores, because at the end of the day, ultimately, it's the gamers that make the judgment. And
Right.
once gamers play a game and they see what it has to offer, they're going to know if it's good or if it's not good. And this just proved without a shadow of a doubt, you don't need review codes to be given out, and you don't need gamers, right? Reviews from like these media outlets that are basically a bunch of hypocrites or whatnot and biased people to prove that, hey, the game is worth your time. Because as we all know, many times when these games get reviewed, like to give an example with Callisto Protocol, even though there could be a great game, it hurts the game's sales, or it hurts from people taking that chance and risk of playing or buying the game because they get these bogus reviews, right? And then last and obviously not least, it killed the narrative that games on Game Pass don't do well, because we just found out, I think it was earlier today, right? If I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
that even though the game was $30, and even though the game was on Game Pass, money-wise, financially, it's done and sold and made more money than Forspoken on PlayStation,
Which is
Which
more
they-
than double its price.
right? Which is a $70 game. Great point. Which I'm glad you said that, my brother. And which is something that Sony paid more than likely millions of dollars to have it exclusive for 2 years on their platform, right, or on their console,
Mhm.
and yet it did no mark in comparison to something like High on Life. So
Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush.
a Hi-Fi Rush. I keep saying High on Life. I don't know why. I'm sorry.
It's
Thank
because
you.
it's similar.
Well,
The-
it's
the
because
way
they came out
it's
so
said.
close to each other and
Similar.
they had the buzz. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, High on Life could be shown, be put
I mean,
on.
what you said about high on life minus the reviews could apply here. Actually, Hi-Fi Rush and High on Life kind of had opposite trajectories. Because
Yes.
High on Life had bad reviews, but was still mega successful after people played it.
Yeah.
And Hi-Fi Rush had just shadow dropped and was a mega success.
Yeah.
So I think the point here is that Xbox knows what good games are. How about that?
Right. Absolutely.
Did you see the new narrative they came up with though?
Well, since you're saying, and I was going to go to you. I was going to get what's your thoughts on the narrative killer, and please elaborate on what you're going to tell me about the new narrative. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, this game, Hi-Fi Rush, killed multiple narratives. Japanese studios, third-person games, action games, stuff that
Mhm.
because we've heard it all. You know, they need action games. They
Mhm.
need. You know what I'm saying? And this is as much as an action game as it is. This is as much of a third-person game as it is, right? And this is Japanese developed game, right? And so
Mhm.
the narrative that they're trying to come up with is that the game shouldn't count and it should be ported to Switch and PlayStation because it was in development in 2017,
Great point. Mhm.
which is hilarious
I saw that.
which is hilarious because I know with certainty Sony didn't pay for spoken development after it started developing.
Right.
You know, they didn't pay
They
for
played for the
Silent Hill.
exclusivity.
Yeah, they didn't pay for Silent Hill
Mhm.
exclusivity. Or when they you remember they were going to pay for Starfield exclusivity, the game
Mhm.
that they pretend to hate, right? So this idea that exclusives should only count for Xbox when it if it didn't start development before Xbox bought that's just crazy to me. Hey guys, they own Bethesda, they could do whatever they want with them games.
That's
Right.
right. That's
And,
right.
and then but before I jumped on here, somebody, they're saying, "Oh, this is an indie game." Hi-Fi Rush is not an indie game, guys.
Mhm.
An independent indie games means independent. Independent is
Studios.
Tango Work Studios is not an independent studio. They are literally
Mhm.
owned by Bethesda and thus Xbox.
Yes, sir.
So when I see this whole it's an independent game, one guy he sent me a bunch of word vomit trying to say nonsense.
He said word vomit.
No, it was literal word vomit because I asked him because I simply put out a tweet saying Hi-Fi Rush isn't an indie, and he said it was made by an indie company. That means it's an indie. So I said, what independent company made it? And then he said, "Oh, Tango Games." Then this is how I know word vomit. Oh, Tango Games is not good. He said, you know what I'm saying? He never actually answered
But
my
couldn't give
question.
you
He said,
actual facts. Yeah.
no, no. And then he said it's an indie made by first party developed, but it's still an indie. You know what I'm saying? Just a bunch of word vomit that doesn't actually answer anything
Jeez,
because
man.
they don't know
Right.
what they're talking about.
Right. Right.
This is why I don't. This is why This is why I don't take. This is why I don't take the gaming world to a large extent seriously.
Right.
That's why I
Right.
don't take. I couldn't take reviews seriously. You remember when Cuphead first came out and they couldn't get through the tutorial, and so you want me to put their opinions on a pedestal where they couldn't get through the Cuphead tutorial? How about the fact that games like Metal Gear Solid, that when they reviewed those games, they only played 8 hours that Capcom allowed them to play and gave them
Yes.
10s across the board, turned out to be an empty, shallow, open world. So we could go down the list of why reviews don't matter and stuff. But
Right.
at the end of the day, it's another mega successful Xbox hit. It was a wonderful surprise. It was such a surprise it killed Forspoken within 24 hours of that
Yes.
game's release. It's made more money than Forspoken. We know that now. It's actually a fun game, something that Sony game. Sony so far up their ass. They think people only play one genre when we
Right.
don't.
Right.
We play a large variety of them. And look, this is what Xbox fans. This is what I'm sorry. This is what PlayStation fans are. This is the new reality. Excuse me for you PlayStation fans. Your games aren't that important. There's nothing Spider-Man that's going to top Redfield or Starfield this year. Y'all could sit there and praise all these timed exclusivities, all these third-party exclusives, and never. And it's funny how they will list Final Fantasy 16 as an exclusive, but damn would say that Starfield don't count. Make it make sense to me.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And you have some really great points, and that's great that you brought that up because I did see that narrative, where the guy said that, and it's just a misconstruction of words because we all know that Bethesda was in financial trouble, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they were trying to get bought out. So more than likely, when the guy says, "Oh, we were working on it since 2017," is because they started to, do the idea, probably, the structure of what they want the world to look, and started to work on it, but they didn't have the financial backing because Bethesda wasn't in the right place financially. And now that they got bought out by Microsoft, because that's what the developer said, but look where we are now, it gave them the opportunity to do and finish and be able to make space. More importantly, make space for a title smaller with with a less a less bigger risk of a budget like Hi-Fi Rush to become a reality and to finally get it out to the world so the world can see and look because it was dropped like with a shadow drop. Nobody had the time to actually critique it and try to find something to hate on it. It worked in their favor, and everybody is receiving it really well, and it looks great. Like it's receiving rave reviews, and people seem to, for the most part across the board, be enjoying it thoroughly and genuinely. Like this seems everybody that's talking about it doesn't feel like they're just going along with a narrative, right? It actually seems and feels genuine. Like, damn, this game is actually awesome. It's dope. It's good. And that's what the difference from when you compare it to something like when something comes out on PlayStation that that they bought an exclusivity, and basically when people play it, it's just because it's an exclusive to PlayStation, not because they genuinely want to care about the product. You get if that makes any sense? You know what I'm saying, Brother Unlimited?
Yeah.
But it feels great because these narratives were killed. Those other narratives were destroyed, and it was proven. And like we talked about in a span of 24 hours. So real quick before we go to you, Sega Man, Jazz Bass came in and he said, "I jumped on. Love listening to you, brothers. Keep up the good work." Thank you, Jazz Bass. It's always nice to see you, and we appreciate your well company. And then we have our brother Zink said, "Yes, he bought. Phil Spencer discovered we don't need Metacritic and the media to sell a game." And you've said this many a times, brother. So we all know that. And then he said, "Correct." He's agreeing with me. He said, "Hello, laugh my ass off." Word vomit. Hey, that's what I said when he said that. That was funny. So that's pretty much it so far for the as far as the comments. So Sega, man, real fast. Like I said, you saw the narrative that I told you. You saw the other points that our brother Unlimited brought up, which is also very good, very true, and is connected tissue. It's true. They're trying to downplay it, saying because it was being worked on before Microsoft acquired them, that somehow that means it doesn't deserve or it shouldn't be an exclusive to Xbox. When now Tequila Works is owned by Microsoft because they're owned by Bethesda and Microsoft bought out Bethesda flat out,
Right.
right?
Right.
So, what are your thoughts about how Hi-Fi Rush had the ability to kill all those narratives back to back within the 24-hour span, and then even had the strength to destroy something like Forspoken with months and months of marketing, which is a AAA title with a lot of fucking hype behind it, or at least they tried to hype, right?
Yeah.
And yet, Hi-Fi Rush, it's on Game Pass. It's only $30, and financially, meaning money wise, it has made more money than something like Forspoken. What are your
Man,
thoughts?
I I don't know. It's just it's crazy, man. It's a loss for words, man. Hi-Fi Rush is it's a really fun game, man. It's an awesome game. I mean, everybody was surprised. They were blown out of everybody was blown out of the water with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I did a video on it saying I think Microsoft's going to give us a surprise during the show, and lo and behold, they dropped that Hi-Fi Rush, man, and everybody was just blown away about it. People were like, "Oh, we're gonna get it. When are we gonna get it? They, where did this game come from? You know what I mean?
Oh
We
yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
nothing
Now,
about
now
this,
they're port begging. Yeah, yeah. We talked about that. Mm-hmm.
you know." And boom, the same day that I guess that night you could download it. I think I downloaded it from work, actually, from
Mm-hmm.
my phone, so I could check it out when I get home. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a big success, man. It's an underdog game, just like
Mm-hmm.
High on Life. The underdog prevails, man. You know what I mean? Everybody thinks that Microsoft is the underdog. You know what I mean? That they're never going to, reach reach so-called PlayStation greatness. But we already knew that we surpassed that, man. We surpassed
Mm-hmm.
all of that. You know what I mean? That was just PlayStation and them trying to capitalize on, like I said, back in 2013. They have that same mindset he bought in Unlimited. And
Mm-hmm.
we know that. We know that. We knew that from the get-go. You know what I mean? And we don't need that, like you said, we don't need advertisement and all that. Word of mouth, you know what I mean? Word of mouth to me is better. You know, we're the advertisement. We're the
Mm-hmm.
advertisement. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it.
Well, the gamers are the ones that are
Gamers, yes,
making the game have success, because
yes,
we've always said it. Real gamers like us that have been doing this for a long time, and in Unlimited's case, he's been doing a little less because he's younger than us, right? But not
yeah,
by much. But still, Unlimited is that rare gem in kids of or young adults, right? Of his age, that actually acts like gamers, right?
yeah, yeah,
Most young adults that are Unlimited's age are, I only want to play whatever's cool. Let's say whether it's Apex, right? Whether it's Fortnite or Minecraft. Not to say that those games are not good, right?
oh yeah,
But Unlimited is the exception, right? Because Unlimited, he plays games,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
He plays all types of shit the way we did, right? And that's
hmm,
the beauty of it. That's the difference. So when you see him say something and his opinion, you know that it's coming from a gamer's perspective,
yeah,
as opposed to when you're seeing someone in fucking IGN that can't even pass the tutorial in Cuphead like he brought up, and you're like, I'm supposed to take you serious, or
that's
when
like
they're
a that's
stealing
a
other
damn thing.
people's, or when they're stealing other people's gameplay footage and getting caught red-handed, right?
Yeah,
So that's the biggest difference. But it's nice to see, and on top of that, it's nice to see that it proves that Game Pass can make games successful. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that's a AAA marketed with so much money, and that has to be only a AAA in order for it to be taken seriously, in order for it to sell. To be honest, I personally want them to make a physical copy of the game. just so we can own it physically. Because I think the game
Yeah,
it
yeah, I'm
fit
with you there.
right unlimited. Like I think it fits well, and I think it's nice to have that game on the shelves where when people like that are not like us, that are not maybe socially inclined on Twitter or YouTube, that just genuinely go into a store to buy a game or video games. If they see it on the shelf, oh, what's this? Hi-Fi Rush. This looks good from the creators of what We Were Within 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, I do wish Xbox supported what was as gun ho about physical releases as they are digital. Like Redfall's getting a physical release, and I pre-ordered that in the Bite
Nice,
Back edition, right?
nice.
You
Hmm.
know, for the extra content, and I think it comes with a steelbook and all this other cool, nifty stuff.
Right, right.
But yeah, but they don't. For some reason, they don't indulge in collector's editions for people like me who don't mind dropping 150
Right.
$200
Hmm.
on
Hmm.
them. You know,
Hmm.
look, I paid $300 for the Gotham Knights collector's edition. I dropped
Right.
like 150 on the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot edition in 2020. I bought the State of Decay 2 collector's edition back in 2018. That was like $80, and it didn't come with the game, unfortunately, for some reason.
Hmm.
Right,
But
right.
but but you know, I love stuff like that. You know, I'm a collector and a gamer, and I feel like that Microsoft see that most game sales by a large margin are digital. Depending on the sources you read, it's between 75 to 90% of all video game sales are digital. I don't know how that breaks down for Xbox
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
specifically, but it's clear that they're like that they see it like, well, if most people are buying digital, let's just do digital first, and if there's demand, we'll put out physical copies. And I
Hmm.
wish that they just did both at the same time, because I ended up buying
So do I.
physical copies of the Medium, Psychonauts 2,
Hmm.
Forza Horizon
I
5,
got
and
them
so
too.
on.
I picked them up too, and I don't even mind if they did the digital first, as long as they consider like okay, this game does well. Like I'm glad they did a copy of Cuphead, even though it
Mhm.
took so long, but I'm glad they did it because games like that deserve physical copies because it's nice to own them physically in case we can't access our digital front for whatever reason, whether we couldn't pay our cable bill, whether we travel somewhere in the world where it may not have online, but we can still play them in our consoles. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that's how I try to tell people where you got to look at physical medium, or if they somehow lose the license and it's not accessible in the store anymore for some odd reason, whatever the case may be.
Right.
Which we know in these cases won't happen because they own the IPs, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, but just to kind of give an idea. So real quick, we have Louis Frag that joined us. Yo, what's up, guys? And it says, I'm close to beating Hi-Fi Rush. It is a brilliant game. And I
Yes,
think
it
that's the
is.
sentiment all across Louis Frag. You're absolutely right. Other things said, Louis Frag, what's up? And then Jay came in and said, that dude ate Kim on Twitter, who came out of nowhere talking about how Xbox needs to be held to accountable, shows how scared they are of Xbox over a shadow drop
Yeah.
game.
Take
Absolutely.
take him as one of those guys who's going to in 2025 mention go like, well, Xbox had no first party games in 2022, which is a
Yes,
lie, because
yes.
last I checked, Pentiment was first party. Um,
Grounded was first party.
yeah, Grounded,
you know, um,
and some other games. It's a lie, but you know, lies never stopped anybody in
well,
the
you,
gaming community from speaking out. So
well, that's another argument though that we've always had unlimited. Since when games only count just because they're first party,
yeah,
especially when Nintendo and Sony have Japanese handouts and
all the time.
a bunch of third parties exclusive, which
Yeah,
has always been counted.
they just moved the goalposts for Xbox. They
Oh,
literally
absolutely.
they moved the goalposts so much they're literally saying Hi-Fi Rush doesn't count because it started development in
Because
2017.
yeah, when you know
Just
the
stuff that yeah, it's and, this whole thing all felt so they stole the game from some PlayStation again. Why is it only ever Xbox stealing when
right, right.
Sony's whole library is third party games?
Hmm.
Their first party lineups is like 3 fucking games a year.
Or
The rest,
buying third party exclusives.
yeah, and
Hmm.
they've been doing that since day one, and never once did they steal anything. Oh, that
So
it's just business when Sony does it.
right,
It's stealing,
right.
even though if it's stealing, call the police on Microsoft. Then you know what I'm saying.
Like, whatever type of police that is, but well,
yeah, because I keep hearing he bought that Microsoft is everything they do is illegal. Yet
illegal.
nobody ever like the government doesn't go after them. Actually, the one time the government went after them in the 90s, then they that was it. Other than that, the government don't go after them for money issues or evasion or nothing. So they're nobody so my point is, man, yeah, and then so another thing is that since they love the first party argument, all Sony has is Spider-Man, and they pretend that's
like
they pretend Spider-Man is bigger than every Xbox game combined. When
or
good luck against,
or like it's first party when it's not.
Yeah, good luck against Starfield this year. You know, y'all might. How am I going to put? Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying.
No worries. You use your train of thought. Just when you come back to it, just let it know. It's fine. So real quick again. I was trying to read it before. Jay also said they know everything after Ghost. They know everything after Ghost Tokyo Wire. Will not be going to the PlayStation, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, hold on. Sorry to cut you off, but Jay made me remember another thing. Last year, everybody was bitching that Sony has more Bethesda games than Xbox. What's going on, Xbox? You guys having trouble? And now that we got Bethesda games, which is what Hi-Fi Rush is, Redfall and Starfield. Now they're stolen from PlayStation. It's like I wish somebody had the guts to look at these guys and just straight up call them out on it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you mean somebody within the gaming space that's considered bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we call them out all the time.
Yeah. No, I desperately want somebody to pull up the receipts of someone like Proto Rock who says something crazy like Xbox isn't for me or something. And it's like, okay, so Xbox ain't for you the year that they dropped Shadow Drop, Hi-Fi Rush. We know Forza's coming. We know Redfall's coming. We know Starfield's coming. That's a great lineup of very different games. You know, a first-person horror game in Redfall, a RPG in Starfield, a racing game in Forza, and a beat 'em up with a Hi-Fi Rush. 4 different games, and that's where you draw the line. And stuff is like just lying like that is. I am desperate for someone with a larger platform
like IGN.
Yeah, the point to just pick. Yeah, show one thing, show the other, and say, okay, you're a liar, and just pull up the receipt
to Xbox so that you care, respect Xbox for real, show it for real by your actions for once. Absolutely, I agree, 100%. And the real reason why they're saying these things because the game is being successful.
Yep.
If the game wasn't successful, they wouldn't be saying anything. They would be like, "Oh, look, the Metacritic scores are so low." Listen. It's because it's successful. They're trying to downplay it because they know that people are liking it. And if they downplay it, they figure, well, if we downplay it, then maybe people will be like, oh, maybe it's just being overhyped. Maybe it's not as good as people are saying it is. But in this case, you can't do that because it's the gamers doing the talking. It's not the media. If you go look at the user scores and the scores from the user scores, it's all the gamers playing. The media that scores that it got is only from 4 outlets. And even with the 4 outlets, it's at an 88. Okay? This you can't downplay the success because it's the gamers talking. So, but we know that's what they're trying to do. So before we get to our brother Sega Forever, because he has joined us, and he's been here for quite a little while, Other Thing said, okay, I heard about that from Turboverse TV. He's talking about Tao Kim, right? Tay Kim or whatever his name is. Other Thing, what's good? It says chilling with the chat. Keep owning these haters. And then from there, he said they're having a meltdown because Hi-Fi Rush obliterated Forspoken. LOL. Gotta love the soul. Listen, I gotta love the soul, but if I can't taste it, it makes me a little angry. And then Other Thing says Louis Frag, right? They gave us a lot of material. And then Others think exactly. It says Sony 2023 will be third party. Absolutely. Laugh my ass off. Age of Empires, another one for those who like the RTS. Absolutely. And then Louis Frag said, "The art of karma. They better pray that Spider-Man 2 does not get delayed. If that happens, oh boy, it's going to be rough for Sony this year. It already is. Spoiler alert." Yeah, you're right, Louis Frank. If that does happen, forget about it.
It's probably going to get delayed.
No, I'm saying we could get at them the way they say, "Oh, y'all didn't have nothing in 2022." So, now we're gonna go into our brother from Hawaii, my brother from another console. Thank you so much for making it out here. I know you've been feeling under the weather,
Yeah.
so it means a lot to me and to us that you're here. As per usual, like I told you, your family. This is your home always. So introduce yourself and then I'll ask you what your thoughts on what I was talking about with the guys.
Yeah, so sorry guys, I'm coming in a little bit late.
No worries.
Yeah, I saw the link, so I jumped in as soon as I can.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, just happy to be here. Sega Forever, Xbox All In channel. Uh, just joined, so I'm kind of slow. I'm a little bit behind on what you guys are talking about.
That's okay. No. The topic we were talking about, I said something first, but I'll start you from where we were. Basically, I was saying that Hi-Fi Rush, it's incredible that in 24 hours, it destroyed basically three narratives, and then created two other narratives that Unlimited brought up to the convenience of the haters, right? And
Right.
that is number one. If you didn't hear me before, or you didn't catch it earlier, that no game has to be a AAA title to be considered quality because Hi-Fi Rush is a smaller title. It's not AAA, and it's obliterating everything from the Metacritic to the gamer's response and to the fact that it's just a $30 title, right? Secondly, it destroyed the narrative that when a game, right, it's on Game Pass, that it can't do well and it doesn't sell. When in actuality, we just found out, I think yesterday night or today, that the game, not only for being a $30 game and being on Game Pass, has sold, money wise, income wise, it has made more money than Forspoken being a $70 game, a AAA game, and a game that Sony spent millions of dollars marketing for the past year and a half,
Mhm.
right? And then the other third narrative that it killed is that we don't need no more Metacritic scores. We don't need reviews from reviewers to say anything about any game because this game has proven that the gamers are the ones who make the passageway for the success of what a game is good and when a game is not good because it's the gamers that make that path to the game's success as opposed to going to Metacritic, seeing the score, and then that score is, oh, it's not that great. Like an example with, Callisto Protocol, which everybody was hating, yet Dead Space Remake comes out. Everybody is giving it a perfect 10 out of 10, not knowing that it's the spiritual successor to Dead Space with this very same exact developer. And yet they wanted to give it low six, right? And so now that proves not only the hypocrisy, that's not only proves the hypocrisy, but it also proves that we don't need to give out scores or review codes or anything like that. Let the gamers do the talking with something like a shadow drop or just bringing out the game and not letting nobody review it. A lot of times people try to use the narrative, oh, if they do that, it's because they're scared. And in the case of Forspoken, that probably was the case. But in this case, it's not, right? So, because it's supposed to be only a metric, but it's also just another person's opinion. Gamers are the ones who ultimately make that decision by playing the game. So that's what we're talking about. That Unlimited brought up, the fact that they're trying to say that it's really not a game that is from them because they started working on it in 2017, or that it should be on other platforms because they're an independent studio when they're really owned by Bethesda. And now Bethesda's owned by Xbox and things of that nature. So what are your thoughts on that, brother? About it did basically obliterating these narratives and basically paving the way for probably what should be a new format of approaching game releases, especially in the case of Microsoft, because I really do believe and feel that if they should continue to do other shadow drops with other projects, maybe not with every game, but with stuff like this, a little smaller, less risky, or that they feel may not be as popular if they give it more limelight or attention or spend millions of dollars to market it in a commercial or whatever, just shadow drop it and let's see the reception it gets from the audience. So what are your thoughts on that, my brother? How do you feel about the hi-fi rush success and what it killed as far as the narratives?
As far as the shadow drop, yeah, I really like that they did that. I hope they make that a regular thing, and as well as I hope they make the actual. Sorry about the noise in the back. Um, the direct developers direct. I hope they do that every month. They have enough content to do that. They definitely do. As far as production and stuff like that, that's another story. But yeah, I thought that was really great that they did that because there were people that were talking about, Sega Man called it on his video, talking about them having like the surprise game, but the drop, that drop thing, a lot of people didn't expect. So I thought that was good for the game, good for Game Pass, good for Microsoft in general, especially because we have so much haters out there. But like I said, I was sick last week, so I didn't get to play the game because one of the things I had was really bad nausea.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I had to suffer watching Unlimited play it.
That's why I stay away from Unlimited because, man, when he goes ham, I can't play. He'll spoil the game for me. I can't. He's too fast. He plays them way too fast. So I'll be like, no, I can't watch it. I'll see it for a little bit to give our brother the view and support because that's what we do here and that's what we try to do with each other and help each other out and show each other love. But I can't watch it because forget it. He'll beat me to it every time.
Well, I was just jealous that you got to play, but I finally played it, and I
Okay.
can see what all the hype is about it.
Yeah, I mean, I bought the game, so I'm gonna play
Yes,
it.
sir.
Yeah. So when you told me that, or I heard you say that, I think it was on one of the podcasts.
On the podcast, yeah.
You did, right? That you purchased the game. And I can see why. Now that I played it, it just has it's just the style of it.
Hey, there's if you don't sorry to cut you off, Sega Forever, but hey, Hebot, I'm gonna step away real quick. But when I come back or later in the show, I mean, there's one thing I do want to bring up that I think will make for good discussion. But I'll be back for about
20
take
time.
minutes maybe.
Yeah, take your time. Come here.
Okay, man.
We'll be here. Take your time. It's not bad. So Sega man, that's basically so. What doesn't it feel like an amazing vindication to see that number one, how the whole talk was and conversation was, Xbox had no games for 2022, which they were light on games. Yes,
Right.
they didn't have big AAA bangers,
I
but they did have games, right?
I-
Especially from I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I mean, I don't buy into that narrative either about they didn't have any games in 2022. Like if you're
But
talking
you're a
about,
gamer, my brother. You're a gamer. But
yeah,
when you talk to the general consensus, right, the general audience, which is the general consensus, right, they don't know no better, so they
well,
believe the bullshit, right? If somebody tells them, you know what, you can't own none of your games on Xbox, still to today, they'll believe the shit. You get what I'm trying to say?
well, the general,
That's what I'm gonna say.
yeah, the general audience. That's the general audience. The thing that irks me is that it's coming from people who call themselves gamers.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
irritating part, and,
Yes.
and that's why I like I say this about Game Pass. It's a perfect litmus test for people to see if they're actually gamers or not. And there's a lot of people out there, man. That I think we should pull their gamer card. If I'm being perfectly honest with you guys,
Right.
I can't say that Xbox didn't have no games. I mean, they had games last year. They had it from their studios. Now to say that maybe you didn't like the game or that's not your type of game, even that excuse is getting old for me because it's like every game, is not their game. So
it's like when I'm sorry, brother. I was just gonna add something real quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Please forgive me. It's like when they were saying when Microsoft launched the Xbox One in 2013, when they're like, oh, they're just movie. When yes, they were trying to talk about movies, which was the first topic I was talking about before you came in. But they also had actual games that were exclusive, as opposed and versus Sony's PlayStation 4, which all they had was, as we know, Knack, Resogun, and freaking Killzone. That was it.
Yeah.
It was Microsoft's console that had the games, and yet they were like, "Oh, they don't have no games," and that they still try to pull that nonsense. It's almost very similar to that, in comparison to what you just brought up and what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's. Yeah, I was actually going to do a rant video about that because I'm just getting tired of hearing it. Because what it sounds like is this, when you sneeze and somebody says "bless you," you know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes,
It's almost that automatic thing, right? So sometimes, like when I'm in the office, just to throw people off, they'll sneeze and I say "curse you," and then
right.
they say, "Well, what'd you say?" Right? Because it's just the automatic. It's just,
Reaction.
yeah, or like when I see my kids, sometimes I try to check myself. I was like, "Oh, how was your day at school?" Things that you say that you don't think about, and that's what it feels like when you're talking about 2022.
Right,
Because
right,
it just gets recycled and recycled. Because there's a lot of people that just hate Microsoft and Xbox that say that and mean it. But then when the
right.
people, when it becomes like commonplace for people to say that kind of stuff, given if you look at 2022 and all the games that we had, again, and that's why I know that they harp on the third party stuff. But I
Mm-hmm.
know Unlimited talked about that. Like I said, sorry about yesterday. Dude. I did my podcast real late,
Mm-hmm.
and Unlimited jumped on. Kudos to him, dude. It's like I think it was like 3 in the morning. Um,
Oh, yeah, you guys. I saw you guys on, but I was like, ooh, there. I was like half asleep.
yeah,
If
yeah.
not, I
'Cause
would have come in, but it was, oof, it was. I'm sorry, brother.
that was the soonest that I could do it because I was running.
Right, right. I know, I know. Usually, if you went in at the time, that's because that's the only time you had it. And I get it, brother. I just feel bad because I told you that I will be there for you no matter what.
No
So
problem. That's on me.
right, right. No, no, that's no worries. Real quick, go Pole. Thank you for joining. He's like, what is that for? What? I don't know what's the game you're talking about. And laughing emojis. Yeah, go Pole. We were just talking about the narrative that Hi-Fi Rush Shadow Drop has created, and it's wonderful to see because it completely kills a bunch of narratives all at once, and now they're trying to start new narratives to work in their favor, which just make no sense. So real
It's
quick,
not. It's
go
not
ahead,
going
go
to
ahead.
work. It's not going to work because I've actually played the game. I got through two
Hmm.
stages of it, and the thing with the game is it checks all the boxes, right? It's not
Yes,
just the game that's got put in there and dropped.
like it's not fake hype. It's
No, it's
real
not.
hype because the game speaks for itself. That's the point. That's what I
Right.
was
It
saying
wasn't
earlier.
something that was dropped for the show, just to say that
Hmm.
something was dropped. It's not something for them to say, "Oh, well, here, this is for Game Pass." This
Hmm.
game has a lot of, dude. It's
Depth
just an amazing game, right?
has a lot of depth.
The
Hmm.
animation, the story, the narrative, the voicing, gameplay. It's a complete package, and I'm only, like I said, 2 stages in,
And
and
you
I'm
could tell where the hate comes from because people are trying to judge it by, oh, it looks like a cartoon, right? It looks like like an anime, and you
yeah.
cannot judge the game by that.
Well, it should look like an anime because it's a Japanese.
Hmm.
They list all the production on there, right? I mean,
Hmm.
it's a perfect combination. This is what they tried to do, like in the late '90s, early 2000s,
Hmm.
when they were
Hmm.
trying to do that East-West mix in video gaming that kind of did well, but didn't really. But like
Right,
in
right,
2023, man, there's a lot of barriers that fell because of the internet and technology and
right,
communication. So
right.
you get the best of both worlds in this game, man. I mean, Sunset Overdrive is probably one of my favorite Xbox games. Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
but after playing this, I was like, wow. I mean, this game actually. I know a lot of people compare it to Sunset Overdrive, which I can see
But it's
why.
very different. It's not
It's
Sunset at
very,
all.
it's
Yes,
very different.
it
Yeah,
looks like Sunset Overdrive. It
and
also looks a lot like Jet Set Radio.
yes. Oh yeah,
But
I
when
would
you
say
play it, it's nothing like it.
nope.
It has its own identity, even though it looks very similar aesthetically, right? Um, which also I wanted to talk about because Unlimited had said something, and I'm gonna ask you first, my brother Sega man. So because the Shadow Drop was so successful, right? Do you guys feel wholeheartedly? Because I know I do that is something that Microsoft should try to continue to pursue going forward, especially with maybe a smaller title like Hi-Fi Rush. What do you think, my brother Sega man?
Um, First of all, here I wanted to say real quick on it, what you guys were just talking about when you said about the game thing. But let's speak truth to facts. In 2022, who had more of the games? Was it PlayStation or was it Xbox?
Right.
Who
Well,
who had more to show? Xbox had more to show
yeah,
when it came
Microsoft.
to games.
Yeah, Microsoft definitely had more games, especially when you talk about that they had third-party exclusive. They did absolutely, but
That's right.
you know that the narrative is were they first-party games, and that's what they try to push because
That
Sony had three first-party games that were big, and they were considered AAA. That's why they kept pushing that narrative. You see what I'm saying? But
That's
I
what
agree with you.
that's what I mean. But games are games. It doesn't matter if it's
Absolutely,
triple A. It doesn't matter if it's a double A. It doesn't matter if it's an indie game.
100%.
Every month in Ultimate Game Pass, and they can deny this all they want, and they can put a brick wall up all they
100%.
want, between their big ass head. We had most of the games. We
Yep,
had
yep.
most of the games. We have more games than PlayStation. PlayStation has done nothing for them in 2022. I'm sorry. They have done nothing.
Mhm.
Microsoft's Xbox with Game Pass has done a lot, brought us a lot of great games, High on Life, different types of games, Ultimate, all these games that came out on there. It's not for everybody, like you said, he bought.
Right,
And,
right.
our brother Sega Forever and even our brother Unlimited. No, all these games are not going to be for everybody, but they are games and they are new games. It doesn't have to be a triple A, it doesn't have to be a double A.
Mhm.
Even if it's an indie, it's a game, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Gamers play games. So true gamers play games. So that's
And
what
I agree.
yeah.
I agree. But what do you think? Do you think they should keep continuing trying to do it going forward with other games since it's had so much success and good
Yeah, I think
feedback?
they should. I think they should do that. You talking about the shadow dropping?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes, I really think they should do that. Look, when I did my video, I just had a feeling that when they did the direct show that they were going to give us a surprise. I said on there we're going to get it.
I
I just
remember
felt,
somebody said that you pointed out, and then I think it was Sega Forever. He said, "Hey, you called this Sega man," I think it was Sega Forever who pointed that out. I
yeah, it was
remember
brother.
hearing it
Yeah,
when you guys were
it was
talking.
Sega Forever, and at first but when I seen him in the chat and say that, guess what? I didn't know exactly what. I'm like, wow, what was it? It's probably the surprise thing, and then I looked and seen the game Hi-Fi Rush because I just felt that they were going to drop us a surprise game,
Mhm.
and that we
Mhm.
were going to get a surprise on the the developer show. I just felt
Mhm.
that we were going to. I just felt that they were going to do something like give us a game or some kind of like I don't know like DLC for like one of our favorite games or something like that. I just felt that way, and lo and behold, they dropped it Hi-Fi Rush.
Right.
I think they should keep doing that. But I really do. I think it
Right.
brings more hype to Xbox. It gets everybody talking more about it that are in the Xbox ecosystem, and it keeps things strong, in my opinion. So yeah, I think they should keep doing that. I really do.
Nice. Yeah, I'm with you too. I feel the same. I think it's the element of surprise. I think is
Love it.
works wonderful, especially when it's something so different and unique, right? Because that's
Yeah.
another thing. I'm pretty sure by them looking at the projects that are being done by their studios, they can kind of tell what's going to be something different and unique and that might catch the attention of the audiences
Yeah.
without unexpectedly without them seeing it coming, right? And
Yeah.
real quick before I get to our brother Sega Forever, yeah, look at Other Zinc in Other Zinc fashion, like he always does so fashionably. He always got to start stirring the pot, stirring the pot in that way where it makes people rattle and roll. He goes, yes, Microsoft should shadow drop Starfield right after their show. And you know what, Other Zinc? I agree. And I think if they did that, oh
You
boy,
could be right.
you think the meltdown was big with Hi-Fi Rush. Ah, even though I know it may sound unrealistic, but if they're able to pull that off, Brother Zinc, you know the meltdown. Twitter's gonna get they're either gonna close down or it's gonna what you call it is gonna brick. It's gonna start all over, restart, reboot.
This is going to be the narrative if that happens.
Oh, they're
You
gonna
ready
do
for it?
this. Uh
You ready
oh.
for it?
What is it? What is it?
Microsoft are shadow dropping these games to avoid Metacritic.
You're right. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what we're gonna do. They have no
uh,
confidence in their game, so now they're
yeah.
gonna shadow drop everything.
The $2 trillion company is afraid of a website that says a website that people they don't even read the reviews.
That we
They
all
just
know
give a
that they're
score.
religiously already notoriously known for trying to pick and choose their favorite games and their battles and what they think is good and what they think is not. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we got our brother Gerald Goodrum. Thank you for stopping by. He said, I just played old games or new. It's not about hype. I just want to play games that I enjoy. Great point, Gerald. I think that, that's the fundamental, bottom line, fundamental of gaming. And you couldn't have said it any better. It doesn't really matter. but the hype helps in the case of Xbox because they've had so much negative hype, right? If that makes any sense.
That's what
always
they got to
negative.
understand, Hebot. I mean,
Hmm,
you know, they need to understand that because of all the stuff that Xbox has went through. Sometimes you need that. You need.
Well, yeah. Well, I'd say with Xbox more because no matter like we've said before, what Xbox does is always that narrative. It's not good enough. They need to do better. They could
Mhm.
give us 30,000 games. As you know, we all know we're getting about 38 titles this year that we know of on Game Pass. It's not good enough. They don't have enough games. Spider-Man 2 is better than all those 32 games. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, right.
When in 2 days or 3 days, we're literally getting Atomic Heart, which looks incredible also. You know what I mean?
Oh, when does it release? When does it? What did you say?
February 2nd. Yeah. Mhm.
Really? Atomic Heart?
Yeah, Atomic Heart. Yeah, and it
Oh,
went
wow.
gold, so the game finished. It's finished.
Oh,
And
wow.
other thing says again, look at this. Look at it this way. There are 30 million Game Pass subscribers that will see it. Absolutely. Great point. Unlimited spot on. Then we got Google Poll once again. If their websites matter, for Forgotten and Callisto would have sold gangbusters, and they didn't. Yeah, that's a good point, Google Poll. You're right. That's a good poll. A good point, Google Poll. And then our brother Xbox All In, he said, I tried to channel my inner other Zing and watch kind of funny games, developers direct reaction and revives. I don't know how you do it, bro. It was hard enough to go through those videos. Oh, you ain't lying. Those videos be like, what?
Yeah, I
Atomic
tried to do
Heart,
another
what?
thing test to get more perspective, and man, it was
Yeah.
it was rough.
Asshole. Other thing goes laugh my ass off on Xbox. So, what about you? Real quick, I'll ask you the question real quick, and then I'll go to our brother Unlimited. What do you think as far as the shadow drop? Since it worked so nicely, do you think it's something they can kind of pursue going forward with, particular projects, smaller projects, or something that's very unique that they know might catch the attention or kind of like hit the fields and the spots with gamers when it's something kind of refreshing and it works? Because I think that's the reason why Hi-Fi Rush worked. Because not only was it unique in aesthetics and style, but it was something different and refreshing. It was kind of like, Remember Me with a more stylized look and, with some other elements of a lot of other games. Obviously, as we talked about. But do you think it's a good idea of them going forward, trying this approach, my brother, All In? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely liked it. I think they should do it, but I think they should do it if it's ready, right? Like if they want to do it. Like I don't think they should force it because the thing that nobody's talking about, or at least I don't hear a lot of people talk about, I could be missing it because I'm not in the loop, but it's not just because of the shadow drop. It's because it's an awesome game, right? I take that game because, like I said, I've just barely played it, like just two levels that I passed, but just in the two levels that I played, it's such a great game that I would easily put it up with some of the other big games that are in Game Pass right now that people like playing. And me and Unlimited talked about this, the power of the replayability of Game Pass games. Because this game, even though I went through the first two stages, I definitely know I want to go back and play it again. Because they did that thing that Japanese games do. Sega would do that all the time. It used to drive me nuts. But they have that ranking system with the
Right. It feels like something Sega would have created back in the day, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And so, I mean, I think I don't want to second guess Microsoft, right? I mean, they've been hitting it out of the park for the last 2 years, especially. So I think if they do anything, they should do it if it fits them, right? Because you can see that they do listen to their critics, but you can tell Microsoft is basically forging their own path. That's how Game Pass came about, right?
Plus, you could tell that they're trying to do different things every time they try to find a way.
Mhm.
Even with the show itself, with the presentation of the show,
Yeah.
you can tell that they're always trying to reinvent themselves, trying different ways to see what works.
Yeah, and this is something that you can tell Phil has good communication with the studios and with his team that works closely with the studios. Like,
Wait. He has good communication. I was told that these studios are in turmoil.
yeah, yeah,
Stop
exactly.
it.
And I mean, and then to
Stop
me,
it.
this is why it's like so important for Microsoft to just continue to do that. So if they choose to do it, like I say personally, because I think it worked out excellently. So if they can do that again with another game on their roster, and if it's ready, and if it's when it gets put out there, it's going to get the same type of praise. Because like Unlimited was saying, man, the salt out there is just absolutely ridiculous to the point of it's hilarious. You know, Unlimited was saying he just basically sits back there and kind of laughs. I 100% agree. So yeah, I would like to see them do it more, but not just for the sake of doing it. You know, like as a one up, but because the game's ready, because it's a good product, because the studios that work under them, you know, are ready to put it out there. You know, it was just one of those things that was a great, you know, just like at the end of you know, Marvel movies used to do a really good job with that. I remember the first time I saw Avengers, and then Nick Fury was at the end.
Well, it's a great point, but it's like when you play the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not to keep on talking about it, but when you're playing the game, you can see and feel that it was a labor of love for whoever was the director for it, whoever the idea came from for Hi-Fi Rush. You could tell that it's a labor of love. You could tell it was something they really wanted to do and try, and it came from the heart. Like you can see it and feel it as you're playing the game.
Well, you can also tell that this was a game that probably wouldn't have been produced unless it was unless they were under Microsoft and it had
right, kind of like Leading Edge.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's another thing that nobody talks about because I heard Phil in an interview say that basically the game was already done. And so, but even though something's done, that doesn't mean it's going to be put out there. And if it's put
absolutely.
So that's another thing that
you have to have right timing too. Is another thing.
Well, it's just something I wish Microsoft would get more credit for.
Right.
Besides from people like us who actually play the game and actually.
I think they're getting credit for this game. Listen, outside of the bubble that just hates Xbox no matter what they do, and there's literally listen. Microsoft could solve cancer, and they'll be upset that they didn't solve malaria. All right, so they're never going to be happy with anything Microsoft does. Other than that, the game is loved by everybody. You know, listen, I don't just observe inside this bubble of assholes like Tay Kim and IGN and all this stuff. I look at the general wide spectrum of gaming, and this is why stuff don't anger me. This is why, as stupid as that question, as asking Phil Spencer Last of Us thing on the interview doesn't bother me, because at the end of the day, nothing they do has proven to affect Xbox in any way, shape, or form. So I just can't get mad at their failed attempts of propping up Sony.
Right. And that's a good point. Absolutely.
Yeah. Listen, if I'm Microsoft, sorry to cut you off, but if I'm Microsoft, I'm putting Hi-Fi Rush on boxes when you buy the series.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I said. They should really consider making a physical. Right.
Yeah. I'm putting them on banners whenever there's an Xbox show. You know how they show Halo. You know they show Marcus Phoenix, Master Chief, a Forza car. I'm putting Chai up there or Peppermint up there.
Chai, the main character. You saw that Aaron tweeted it out. You saw that Bonnie Ross tweeted it out. You saw that Larry Herb tweeted it out. They're all tweeting it out, and that's great. I think that's the right thing to do. Absolutely. So before I ask you,
just real quick, I think that's another thing. That's a great point. I mean, these characters in this game, they are made for Funko. They are made to be.
Like Funko Pop. Yeah.
Well, not just anything.
Funko Pop's animated series would be wonderful.
Yes.
Some type of toy line for those people who are into it. Yeah, the marketing potential is incredible.
It just lends itself to a lot of stuff. Yes.
It's just because it's so stylized, right? And so who's the first boss that the lady you fight? I fought that lady.
Oh, Rekka?
Rekka.
Oh, the robot.
Oh, no, Rekka. Rekka, right? The girl?
Yeah.
Dude, man, she was like WWE. she was like all of this stuff rolled into one, man. When I saw her come in and just her mannerisms and the way she spoke.
She looks like a female version of Max.
Dude, yeah.
All I basically do is I just looked at that and I was just like, dude, I would love to have a character, a figure of this.
Right. They got she looked like the animated version of the chicks in Gotham Knight that look like her. Right? Unlimited.
Oh, yeah.
They kind of look like an animated version of that character.
Yeah.
I mean, she's so over the top, but it was in a good way.
In a good way.
Way. And just the way her character build, just the all the stuff.
She had just the right balance. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. So real quick before I ask you, Unlimited, I'm sorry, were you going to say something else again?
No, I just think Microsoft would miss a gold mine. if they don't.
Right, right. If they don't capitalize, it's like
Like
missing an opportunity for print money. Yeah,
what
I
they did with
agree.
Killer Instinct. Yeah,
I agree 100%. Or they did with Record. To be honest, 'cause
yeah,
Record had a lot of potential.
yeah.
So Gogo Post says the narrative is only in the console war circle. People know what Xbox is, and a lot of them are hearing that Game Pass is a good deal.
Hmm.
Just like people know that Netflix has something for everyone. And that's a great point, Gogo Pool. But I'll be honest with you, a lot of times too, it gets hurt when people like in like let's say in GameStop, right, or even Target or Walmart, that are like the sales reps, right? When I've seen it all the time, when people go in, they're like, "Oh, I want to get an Xbox. Um, I want to know what exclusive they have," and they'll be like, "Oh, why are you getting an Xbox? Get a PlayStation or get a Nintendo Switch. The Xbox has no games, or you can play them on a PC. You don't really need it." And using that type of narrative, which I've seen personally, and that I've always said that hurts, especially in the real world. But you're right. Most people are not stupid. When gamers are on there, they know when something's good and when there's a good deal and they see it in Game Pass, just like they did with something like Netflix. I agree. And then we'll go over to the Zinc. He says, way to catch him in a lie, Unlimited. See? Every time he never fails, he kills people in a lie every time. Go poll. That's smart. IGN Ryan dude. That smart IGN Ryan dude. He told me these games better come out now, like right now, right in my lap, so I can see it. Oh wait, it's not Spider-Man 2 or Wolverine. Sorry, Xbox. I feel so stupid. LOL. Then he goes, he bought Microsoft should market Starfield by having pre-download options for Starfield for a month, then
Mhm.
drop it after Starfield's deep dive. Yeah, I think that'll work.
What does he
Absolutely.
mean pre-download option for Starfield?
Well, you know how they give you the option where you could pre-download it like months before, so
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that
yeah.
way,
Like
if
I did
they
with
shadow
Redfall.
drop it, right?
Yeah.
That way, if they shadow drop it, like he's saying they should, you could just go play it instantly. You don't have to wait and download it. You know what I mean? That's what Other Zinc is alluding to, and I think it's a good point. So Unlimited, real quick, since you came back in, because I said you know you said you had a topic you want to bring up, but I have one more topic I wanted to talk about. So I want to get to your point as well. Um, what so you think that since you've seen the success they've had, like as you heard me say with the shadow drop, do you think that there's something they should keep exploring going forward with smaller projects, unique projects? Maybe not with everything, like I said, but with things like a Hi-Fi Rush, where
Hmm.
where it can catch the appeal and the eye of the gamer, because of its uniqueness or because its aesthetics or how different the game really is. Since it's getting so many positive praises and is working. Not to say that it'll work with any other game, but or more games. But do you think since it has, do you think it's an option they should consider exploring more often as the years go by?
It's going to happen now. Now, listen. This is the case. What Xbox did, I don't think
Mhm.
people realize that what they did last Wednesday was a game changer. And
Right,
it might sound insignificant, but no. What's going to happen going forward is that after every Xbox show, they're going to expect a shadow drop going forward.
right. It almost
It-
feels like when
it's to
the game changer with Game Pass.
yeah, we're going to expect other companies to do shadow drops because of Xbox. The
You
same
think
way
so?
that buying Bethesda changed the way we see the big console makers purchase studios, now publishers. My goodness, I think people are going to expect more of, like, okay, yeah, you showed a game, but Xbox dropped this game in January. Xbox dropped
Right,
this game in E3. Xbox
right,
dropped this game at Tokyo's Gamescom. What
right,
did you do? You know what I'm saying? So
right.
I think that it's a low key game changer that's going to change expectations.
And
Because
I don't
remember,
think that's not within the realm of possibilities. I think you're making a very good intellectual, intelligent point. I think you're right. It might very well open the doors where other companies will follow suit just so that they don't get hurt. Especially when you see how something like Callisto
mhm.
that rightfully deserves better sales, got hurt because people were like, "Oh, the game is too hard. I don't like the gameplay." Right? And that's unfortunate. So that's I think you hit a good point. And I hope that you're right. To be honest with you.
Yeah. And you know, this is something that isn't it's not applicable to every game. For example,
Obviously, yeah.
Redfall needs explanation because
Mhm.
I don't you know because I think people needs to warm up to a game like that. Hi-Fi Rush is so creative that I think the way that it was debuted was enough to show, okay, this is something unique that people could get into.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think for smaller games that'll be the case. For larger games, they'll still be treated in a more traditional sense.
Plus,
I
Hi-Fi Rush is also player friendly. You get what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say?
Well, all Xbox games are player friendly. That's why they always have millions upon millions of players. You know, you know, Sega Man earlier said the phrase that I grow to despise, and no shot, not a shot at Sega Man, just as overall concept that gaming isn't for everyone. Every time we talk about Xbox, however, all numbers are showing that Xbox games are for everyone more so than any Sony game or hell, maybe even the Nintendo game. Because
Right.
if you're not into Zelda or Pokemon or Mario, you're not buying a Switch because you're not going to play Assassin's Creed Mirage. You're not going to play Gotham
On the
Knights.
Switch,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? So
Right.
so this idea that when for some reason when we discuss Xbox, people love this qualifier of, well, the game's not for everyone. By that
Right.
logic, no game's for everyone.
Right.
But
Right.
the numbers, but the fact that the Elder Scrolls Online 20 million players, Sea of Thieves 30 million, 33 million players, a Hi-Fi Rush massive success with no commercials or no marketing, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
At
Mm-hmm.
what point does all this success mean that, yeah, these games are for people?
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Absolutely.
that's just my 2 cents on the
Plus,
matter.
remember, keep in mind that Nintendo's audience, a good percentage, about maybe 60, maybe even 70, are kids.
Yeah,
So a lot of their numbers is because there's more kids in the world that want to play kiddie games, right? Or the Fortnites, right?
right.
It's which is available on Switch. We got to keep that in mind. Xbox is more for a broader audience,
Hmm.
especially in the adult spectrum, as we all know, right?
Yeah.
Um, go ahead, go ahead. What are you saying?
Oh no. I mean, it's just just to wrap up the topic. My point of view on this topic. Yeah, man, we're going to get more shadow drops. It's not
So
going to be
you
at every
right,
show, but there is going to be an expectation of it going forward.
right.
That I don't know. So sometimes you can only catch lightning in the bottle once, right?
Mm-hmm,
Or that old phrase, you can't put toothpaste back in the tube, right? Where
mm-hmm,
where this was so surprising that going forward, people aren't going to be as surprised because now there's this expectation of, oh, Xbox could shadow drop anything, right? But if it still happens, it's still going to be a big deal because it's a new game day one. It's an awesome game day one,
Plus, what
especially
you
something.
said too, what you said. If they don't do it in every show, then it can still have an impact
Yes,
because they're not
yeah.
going to expect it because everybody's going to, yeah, they'll do it. They're going to do it again. Oh no, they didn't do
Right.
it.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah. You
but
know,
the
these
next show they'll do
insiders.
it, right?
Watch how we get closer to E3, and I guarantee you, insiders going to be like, so a rumor is Microsoft is shadow dropping the
Right,
game,
right,
right?
right, right.
And people is going to get people riled up. Then after E3, they're going to be like, well, so Microsoft, why didn't you shadow drop games?
Yeah,
You know
then
what I'm
that's going to
saying?
become the new narrative. Oh, they love making it seem like they're going to bring out games, and then they don't even do it. Now they just playing with the audience. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So real quick, hey Invader, thank you for stopping by, brother. Really, really appreciate seeing you here. Means a lot to me. Others think exactly. Others unlimited, like Redfall is for a pre-download in Game Pass today. That's what I mean. It
Yeah.
will eliminate Metacritics and Ryan McCaffrey. He's so stupid. And we got the real Radiant 96. Hello, Radiant. Thanks for stopping by, brother. And so, hello, guys. Came in late again. No problem, brother. Better late than never. It's always a pleasure, and it just means a lot for you being here. Because I hope the shadow drop more. Gotta take the power away from reviewers and give it to the gamers. Absolutely. That's what we were talking about earlier. I completely agree. Gogo Poll again says the reality is that console war is for is kind of over. At IMO, I forgot what that abbreviation means.
In my opinion.
In my opinion, okay. Sony can't compete against a $2 trillion company. Absolutely, that
Yeah.
is committed to succeed. And Gogo Po, we said this many times before.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The console war
Sony,
ended in 2020.
yeah, we said this a lot of times before that Microsoft is not Sega. They're not going to bully them out the way they did Sega. Gogo Po, exactly, man. And then other things ends it all with yes. All insiders will know everything. Okay. So anyway, real quick, unlimited. Before we get to the topic, or you said you had something else you wanted to bring up, talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, real quick. Now you guys know I don't like to give nobody clout, but I just wanted to bring it up and talk about some bullet points
Hmm.
because I saw their their podcast, and I really saw it because I wanted to see if they were going to actually have anything nice to say, just out of curiosity, especially because Microsoft had success with this Hi-Fi Rush. And like always, and per usual, I went to Digital Fuckery to see their podcast, their thoughts and reactions. And these dudes were saying some crazy shit that was driving me nuts, like saying things like that the Forza Horizon or the Forza Motorsport, although that looks great, that the materials in the car still don't look as realistic as Gran Turismo 7, or saying things like, that kind of like, oh, they got lucky with Hot Fried Rush, that Sony should have done it with something like Babylon, even though Babylon failed because they were trying to be sarcastic, like trying to say, that they got lightning in a bottle, but that's not going to keep happening, so to speak, and saying things like, "Oh, it's nice to see a game like Hi-Fi Rush because they only have Forza Gears and Halo, and they don't have enough unique games." And I was like, "Oh hell no, fuck this! These dudes." Like I went at them. I said something on Twitter. Not that it matters because I know they're gonna ignore me anyway. That's how they are. But I just couldn't stand seeing it because I'm like, anybody that's anybody knows that either you're trolling or you're trying to clickbait by your with your conversation because, or you're just lying to your audience because you know they're stupid and they're not gonna go do their research because we all know that since 2023 and even during the 360 era, Microsoft has and shit. We can go as far back as OG has had more original IPs, in-house and third party, and more diversity in genres, which we talked about this not too long ago. I think it was on your podcast, Unlimited, or it wasn't on the Exile. It was one of those, where they have the most diversity in all genres than any other company. And yet these fuck faces had the nerve to say that shit. And I'm like, and this is what I'm talking about, that people go see them in the millions, in droves, because I don't really care what they say because their opinion really doesn't matter, especially when I know that they're fucking wrong. But when I know that so many people go and see them and take whatever they say at face value and believe the bullshit, this is what hurts the narrative and creates false narratives and information about Microsoft, for example, in this case. And then it creates that same stigma again where they got to keep trying to dig themselves out because these dickheads and airheads are promoting and talking about false information to create a narrative so they can get clicks and shit. So I saw it and really got me angry. And so I was just, what do you think about that, Sega man, when these dudes do shit like this? And how do you think that Microsoft can maybe somehow kill this shit? Because they don't give them the time of day anymore. But it starts with people like John Lindemann always saying some dumb shit all the time. And we all know the existence of Sony. And that's one thing that I always, not to be against you, brother, but that you say, oh, the best PlayStation console was PS2. And I'm like, no, fuck that. Because they didn't make nothing original during PlayStation 2. All that shit was, they bought third party studios and most, like 90%. And there was no real competition, as we all know, because the Dreamcast, had died. The 64 didn't come out till way later. So I
Yeah.
always say that when people say that, I don't feel it's a fair assessment or a fair comparison
Right.
because there was no competition and they didn't do nothing new. They created Santa Monica at that time, yes. They created, the people that did, the SOCOM series at that time, yes. But that's pretty much it. And Polyphony Studios that did the Gran Turismo, that Polyphony's Gran Turismo, since from where it was to now, is just pure garbage now, right?
Mm-hmm.
In comparison. But what do you think when you see shit like this? And this is the thing I'm talking about. This is dumb shit. How do you combat this as us being gamers of Xbox that are on YouTube that have a voice with the stupidity of these guys saying that people just gravitate to that dumb shit and listen to them? And what can Microsoft maybe do to try to stop it somehow or make them look stupid, maybe? What do you think?
I don't know, man. I don't think Microsoft should really. They're the better company. They're the better. They're just the better company, man. They don't really need to do anything. We're so used to, the digital fuckery doing dumb shit like this, man. You know what I mean? And for him to say that about nobody's even Gran Turismo 7 is not even relevant anymore. It's not really relevant anymore. There's nobody fucking playing that, bro. There's nobody.
They were saying shit like, "Oh, the materials in the car look better." Saying, "Yeah, maybe because if you look at the game overall, with the world and tracks, there's nowhere near on the level of what Xbox is creating." They were even saying that Microsoft was showing deceptive footage, acting as if it's on Xbox and probably it's just on PC. When we all know that they never showed us any footage of any Forza game that wasn't indicative or looked the way it did when it came out on Xbox. Never. They've always, when they showed us, that's what it looked like. And even questioning, I don't know if it's going to be real ray tracing. Is it going to be baked in ray tracing? And shit like that, like stupid shit like that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
It came from one of the developers' mouth. It's real ray tracing, dude. He's not going to come out and say that it is and it's not. This is what I don't understand about these guys. They're in denial, man. You have the developers and people from Turn 10 telling you what's going to be in the game and the ray tracing, but yet they still even doubt that. These are these are the developers and the people that are making Forza Motorsport. You know what I mean? They don't. The thing is they just want all that channel is clickbait. That's all it is. They get this PlayStation trolls over there all the time. It keeps their lights on. That's basically what the trolls do, is keep their lights on because they want to keep, trolling and believing the bullshit that digital fuckery talks about. You know what I mean? Forza Motorsport, and I'm gonna say this again. I don't care what anybody says. I won't give a fuck what anybody says. Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport is the best goddamn racing game on the planet. There is no other racing game that can compete. Gran Turismo is over. Gran Turismo is done. They don't even have a 4K. They don't even have a 4K racing game. They're done. They don't have a 4K 60 frames per second racing game. They are done. They can say whatever they want to say. All right, but it's not going to change us. You know what I mean? They're done.
Or the reality, right? Or the
reality. All right. The stuff that they're saying about, Forza Motorsport, it's all fucking clickbait, and they're jealous. The game's not even all the way fucking done yet. It's not all. They're still doing stuff to it. It's coming out later in 2023. Who gives a fuck? We're not racing the fucking upholstery in the fucking game. Who the fuck cares about that? These dudes out here are fucking stupid. We're not racing the grass on the ground. These guys are dumb, guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm so sick of them. That's why I don't watch them. I never watch them. When I hear P-Bot or the brothers, then I'll take it into consideration. But I don't watch these fools because they're stupid.
John says some asinine comment about, the lighting just doesn't make the game look as photorealistic as Gran Turismo. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. It doesn't make any sense. You remember back in the mud particles and the blades of grass just so you're not there to look at the grass and look at the mud. You're playing the fucking game. I understand it's part of the environment, but you're not playing that. You're playing and experiencing the game.
The overall experience.
It's not always about all that.
Yeah, and it's unmatched. It's unmatched in Motorsport. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm just going to say this, man. I don't never watch them. And I know you just watch them to see if they would give some kind of respect. And in my opinion, they never do. They never do.
Well, I was curious really about how bad of taste in their mouth they were going to have because of Hi-Fi Rush, right? Being so successful. And yet they were still trying to find a way to downplay it. I was like, of course they are, because it's not on PlayStation. If it was Sony, it would have been like, oh my God, they're geniuses.
Right.
So that's really why I was trying to look for, but I should have known better. I wasn't, surprised, but it pissed me off either way. So Unlimited, what about you? What do you think about what I said with the Digital Foundry's retarded consensus of the show and saying those stupid type of comments, how asinine they sound, and what maybe can be done by us or even Microsoft to try to kill their noise and shut them down. Like, because enough's enough, right? It has to be a point where it comes to the point where enough's enough.
Yeah. First of all, Digital Foundry somehow sounds like they stuck in a 2012 with that criticism there. What a, but it proves something that I've noticed but never said publicly, and that it's clear that they don't actually play the games. They just record the first hour, see what resolution and frame rate it is, then go on to the next game. They're clearly not playing these games to make a statement like that. That I don't understand how. I'm just going to focus on this ninth generation of consoles, the Xbox Series S and X. We've so far had one Halo, one Forza Horizon, one Forza Motorsport, and no Gears yet, right? The rest of our exclusives, High End Life, Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Grounded, The Gunk, Flight Simulator, Redfall, Starfield, and so on. Last I checked, none of them are Halo, Gears, or Forza. Hell, they're not even shooters. So I don't. So that's just another situation of a site that has over 1 million subscribers, lying to the audience, don't know what they're talking about, and somehow nobody calls them out on it. It's the cycle that's going to keep spinning until the day they all finally go away.
Right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Great point. Great point. So, brother Sega forever. What are your thoughts on that, brother? I mean, I know it's not surprising. We all know what to expect from people in sites and outlets like digital fuck faces. But again, it's disappointing because even when they see that Microsoft deserves the clear W, right? Just on pure, they were saying, yeah, the presentation was good, that they should move forward with the same type of quick paced presentation, but they still could not give them their W without throwing stupid, snarky remarks, stupid shades. And, it pisses me off because, you know, Microsoft is the first one that when they release the game, they'll let them see the game and let them psychoanalyze it, knowing that they're going to just be as critical as possible, no matter what. Even though if the game is perfect, it's not going to matter. It's going to speak for itself, like they did with the other Forza, and it proved them wrong, and they couldn't say shit, even though they were trying to say it wasn't real. When they showed, I think, was Forza Horizon 4 or was it 7? I think it was one of those. But what are your thoughts on that, brother? Let me know.
Yeah, I don't watch Digital Foundry. I haven't watched them. The last time I watched them is when they showed the chip for the Scorpio. And that's just because of their technical prowess. And the same way that I watch other shows for, like, if I wanna look at what's happening with 4K TVs, there's certain YouTubers and stuff like that I'll go watch their channel specifically for that. But to me, man, I mean, they're definitely a part of the console war, and they have their favorites. So I gave up on them a long time ago. I haven't watched any of their videos, and there's just certain people out there that I won't, just because of the way they, you can tell they're never going to give Xbox a fair shake, or Microsoft. So it's just, to me, it's just a waste of time. Like, when I see that, I'm like, well, I could actually, my time is limited as well. I know all of us got stuff to do, and so when I look at my free time, I'm like, I wouldn't waste my time watching their stuff as well as other people's content. That's why I've kind of limited, even on the Xbox side, some of the people I follow. I was kind of joking with Others Inc., man, what I was saying earlier, but just to get a perspective on things, is it when it's more generalized, just so I can have an understanding of what's going on, or actually get a pulse of what's going on in the gaming community. But when it comes to certain things, I don't need to. I already know how they're going to be. So, and that's why I think the drop was so important. That's the kind of stuff I think Microsoft needs to do, is to focus more internally, and then also to do things like that kind of shake up the industry. Like when you buy Minecraft, or when you buy Bethesda, or then when you go ahead and buy Activision. They made such big moves like that it just basically shut everybody up. And I think that's what they should do moving forward. My honest opinion. Because they're never going to get a fair shake from these guys. Because these guys are ponies. That's what they are.
Right. Right. It's just. Go ahead.
No, just to answer some of the people about the console war. I mean, that's why the console war exists. We have a generation of people that grew up on Sony.
Right. Well, that's why I'm saying that the people how
Oh, no, good.
Go Poll, he brought that up, that the console war is really over, stuff like that. And I say, well, yeah, you're right. It should be, or it feels like it is, but when you have outlets like Digital Foundry, that they got millions of people viewing them, even though it doesn't really matter their opinion, right? Because at the end of the day, it's still just an opinion. But that brings a lot of casuals in that are maybe first time Xbox buyers or first time people that are interested in getting an Xbox, and that creates that level of negativity right from this jump, and they're creating console war. But then they'll sit there on Twitter or in a social space or when they do their own podcasts or shows talking about, oh, we don't console war. These people live in La La Land. Kind of like the way Adam Sessler tries to act like, that the console war stuff is in people's heads because they're crazy or whatever, when it's a real thing, right?
Well, it's just as a DC fan, if he thinks it's fair, with Marvel fans, you know what I mean? As far as
Hmm.
just look at it that way.
As far as we're getting the way we get treated versus the way the Marvel fans get treated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm a Marvel fan. I'm a comic book fan, though, right? But then,
absolutely,
like,
absolutely.
if I go and watch a DC movie and I really like it, and then just people that are just hating it just because they're Marvel fans,
Hmm.
just hating it just to hate it, that's the kind of thing. It's a culture. It's,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the culture. That's what it is. There's a whole culture in gaming that is influenced by Sony and their fandom.
right,
Just the
right.
reality. And it's also in the gaming media. This is why when you have guys like Ryan McCaffrey or Destin and all these dudes that are supposed to be Xbox
That's
guys,
supposed to be Xbox, right?
right? But they speak, you know, negatively about Xbox, and
Right,
if it's justifiable, then fine, right? But it's always a negative slant. But yet they don't do the same thing on the Sony side,
right, right.
right? So that's what I'm
Absolutely.
talking about. That
They
needs
almost act like they have stakes in Sony or Sony pays them somehow, right?
well, it's just because they look. I mean, look, we're older than most of these dudes, right? They just grew up in a time. We grew up in a time of Atari, Nintendo, Sega, right? And arcades, right? So in the golden age, I would say of gaming.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's how we grew up, right?
Hmm.
But with these dudes, when they came in, dude, they were in the age of like Sony, if we're being honest.
Hmm. Hmm. They didn't know even what an arcade was. A lot of them at that point, right? Hmm.
Yeah, and I know
They
a
think
lot of
they,
times,
they see arcades as something like Dave and Buster's maybe or Chuck E. Cheese.
yeah, they don't know like an old school
Not
quarter.
not what a real arcade is.
And so that's the issue. That's what needs to change, if I'm being
Right,
honest.
right,
And that's why I echo what E-Rock says all the time. To keep Microsoft needs to keep the boot on their neck.
right. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's good for us, especially people like us that are doing YouTube, that are talking gaming, because you know that when we do it, it's from the heart. It's because we genuinely are real gamers that love the hobby, that respect it, that appreciate it, that grew up with it, that we've seen how you know companies have come and gone, and how it's all played out to this point. It makes it better for us, but it's still frustrating to see, when these asshats that get all this views and all this showcasing and all this support, because these people are blinded. They don't realize how wrong they are in the information that they put out in a lot of cases. Um, and anybody can put a game in a machine and analyze it with a machine. Of course you can. The machine's doing the work for you. That's not the point, right?
One of the reasons I don't watch Digital Foundry anymore too is because nobody cares.
Right, right.
The majority of people do not
Not
care
real gamers for
about this
that
stuff.
point.
Well, no, they just don't care about the technical stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a small selection or group of people that really invest
Mm-hmm.
and that this stuff will matter. Like the same thing we see this all the time on Black Friday, right? When people are looking for TVs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm looking at the LG C2 75-inch screen, and some dude just goes in there buys a Hisense for like $1,000.
Mm-hmm. 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 Go ahead,
Right?
Unlimited. What you gonna say? You gonna say
Yeah,
something?
sorry.
No, I was gonna say people only cared about Digital Foundry from 2013 to 2017
When they
after the
start talking,
Xbox One X released, and it was and every game was more powerful than
and they
and that
started
stopped.
talking, and they
That
started
stopped
talking. You
because
remember in the
y'all
360
y'all
era
remember
when all the games were better, they didn't talk.
no from 2013 to 2017, even IGN was doing comparisons. After the Xbox One X, that stopped, and they haven't
Yeah,
done
yeah.
it since.
Yeah.
Right,
Truth,
right.
truth.
Go ahead, finish off. Take it forever. I'm sorry.
No, exactly what Unlimited said, and
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is why I put together the Wrecking Crew podcast. Thank you guys for coming and the support.
No,
And
thank
I'm not
you.
trying to plug it, but the Wrecking Crew podcast. The reason I do that is just because we want to wreck narratives.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we want to do, man. Because nobody else is doing it.
Right.
These guys are doing it,
Absolutely.
like you say all the time, with the bigger audiences, but they're not, man. Either it's because they're clickbait or they're scared. I don't know what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, again, and like you said earlier, dude, thank God Microsoft has money, right?
Oh
because,
yeah. Oh yeah.
because most companies would not be able to weather this type of hate
Mm-hmm.
that Xbox has been getting as a product and as a brand. Right? Most
That's a
people
fact.
won't, but then you have
Or
Microsoft.
survive it because it's not easy.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're Sega fans. We know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We've been on that road.
We see TurboGrafx and Atari and Panasonic, all those guys. What was it? Pioneer, right? Panasonic, Philips, CDI, all that. Come
Yeah.
and go. Right, right. Absolutely, absolutely. So before we get to the
This ain't
topic,
our first
go ahead.
rodeo. This ain't our first rodeo, bro. We've been around.
Oh no, it's definitely not for none of it. For most of us, yeah, even Unlimited because he's been there since the Genesis and Sega Master System era, I think.
Mhm.
So before we get to the last topic that our brother Unlimited, so graciously is going to bring up to us, real quick, let me get to the rest of the comments just so you can read some of these. Gogo Post said that the Digital Foundry long faces is real. They are shook. They know Sony is not going to win. Laughing emoji. You're right. Other thing says, I'm going to have to run, guys. Have a great finish and have a great show and finish the show. Okay, thank you, Unlimited.
Yeah,
Other
thanks.
thing, I hope to watch the rest of it later. Thank you for stopping on. It says Gran Turismo 7 doesn't even compare to Forza Motorsport 7. Is it true? They truly are in denial. Yeah, brother, that's what I was saying. Radiant 96 says the PS2 was underpowered and its popularity held back the sixth gen. Yes, good point. Games weren't as great they could have been as they could have been. Imagine if more devs made more games for the OG Xbox or PC back then.
Yeah, I'd like to chime in on that comment.
Go ahead,
if
go
you
ahead,
don't
go ahead.
mind.
Go ahead.
Um,
I don't mind.
when the OG Xbox was released, I remember there were a number of games that were only on Xbox because they couldn't run on the
Yes,
PS2 at
Ninja
all.
Gaiden being one of them.
Yeah, so what he said was spot on.
Yes, sir.
Listen, I think the
Understand?
DVD player being affordable. I knew people who had more DVDs than PlayStation 2 games.
Yes,
You know, because
That's
everybody
true.
had
You're
the
fucking
PS2.
fact. That's a fact.
that is true.
Yeah, everybody had a
The
PS2,
PlayStation got a
man.
DVD player, son. It's the most affordable one. What you got to say about that? I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
God.
yeah. Look. Listen, PlayStation fans would kill to go back to the PlayStation 2 era because they had something like 90% of the console market.
Yes.
You know, that just shows how far they've fallen off grace
Because
from
there
their
was no
peak.
comp. There was no comp. There was no
Yeah,
competition for a
And
long
yeah,
time.
piracy. And piracy. I'll throw that out there. Piracy.
Mhm.
yeah.
You can pirate a lot of those games.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to bring up something Radiant said because that's one thing that drew me to Xbox was them games that I when I heard that wow they can't run on the PlayStation
Yes.
2, and
Yeah.
I had to check them out.
And remember, they had games like Splinter Cell. That was another one.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
the fact that they actually had games like the Dragon's Lair 2D hack and slash or 3D hack and slash that were, and even Warriors and even Matrix that were actually 1080i,
Mhm.
and they had high Dolby surround at that time, which it was nowhere near nothing on PlayStation 2 ran on that level. Nothing, right? Sega man, nothing.
Well, nothing at all. Oh, no.
Mhm. So real quick, the other comment from our brothers Radiant was, wait, they said that Forza doesn't look as good as GT7. Yeah, he was talking about how the materials, like the lighting, the way it bounces off the cars and stuff like that, because or off the lights and stuff, because they were able to emphasize that more on the models, right? The car models of Gran Turismo. Because if you look at the game overall, like the worlds and the tracks, they don't look as impressive. And I'm saying just because they may not have as much reflection, let's say, on one car than less on Forza and than it does on the Gran Turismo, it doesn't mean it looks better. Because if you look at the game overall, when it comes to levels, the tracks, and the overall presentation of the world, it kills Gran Turismo. It doesn't even come close. So that's why I said it was an asinine comment, especially coming from them that they're always trying to say things like, oh, that you got to always have a give or take, and you just got to appreciate the fact that how a game on Switch like Doom runs on Switch, even though it's 30 or 20 frames or 19 frames, but the fact that it runs on a Switch is remarkable. They want to use that kind of logic when it comes to Nintendo or Sony, but when it comes to comparing games on consoles like Xbox versus PlayStation 4, for example, or Series X versus PS5, they want to try to pull the card where it looks or fits the bill better for them on a game. Like, let's say if a game was running better frame rate, they don't want to accept the fact that maybe it's because it wasn't optimized better for the Xbox Series X, because either it was parodied or because it was a Japanese company that gives favoritism to the Japanese consoles versus an American console and things of that nature. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, by the way, there are only two Japanese companies I care about going forward. Tango Works and Toast, the guys who made Scarlet Nexus. If you ain't those two, y'all could fuck off going forward.
He goes, if they said that, that's cap. Laughing emoji. Yeah, Radiant. Then Radiant again said, any honest individual will tell you that Forza Motorsports looks way better. Digital Foundry trying to cater to ponies all the time. LOL. Yeah, you're right, brother. You're definitely right. Then we have Brian Dunloop. Thank you, Brian Dunloop, for stopping by. He says, Sony's getting Silent Hill 2 exclusively. And then he put a crying emoji. For consoles. Yes, we know, Brian Dunloop. Microsoft Windows will get it, but not Xbox Series for some reason. Well, I mean, Brian, they're going to learn the hard way when they see that the numbers are not there, because Sony has to do whatever it can because they don't have something to compete like a Game Pass. So that they're going to do dirty, snarky moves like that. That's what they've been doing all this time. They bought the rights to that other game that was originally Project Eve, and now it's called something else, and they're touting that like it's their game, when they didn't even help develop that game. That game was a GoFundMe, and the guy been making it for over 8 years now. And all they did was pay for exclusivity once the game was done, right? It's kind of like when Microsoft brought Bright Memory Infinite. It was supposed to be exclusive, but then since the first game that was introduced, that was more like a prologue, since it didn't do too many numbers on Xbox, they probably asked them, oh, can we bring it out to PlayStation once the game is done? And that's what they said, and they decided on a deal, okay, and then it came to PlayStation, which I think is bullshit, but it is what it is. And then Gogo Pole says, watch Digital Foundry's videos on the Call of Duty comparisons from like 2010. LOL. It was obvious then that the 360 was better. Even then, they were lying their asses off for PS3. They're just ponies pretending to know tech. Well, yeah, for real. That is the general consensus. Oh, my brother Erock's awake. Holy shit. He said, talk call, breaking news. Costco and Kellogg's are churning for waffles and cereals at half off prices. Oh, it would be like Erock to come here at this time being silly. Yeah, Erock, congrats. My Niners definitely got hurt badly, man. All the quarterbacks hurt. It was over. It was over. Radiant 96 Digital Foundry are from Europe, and it's pony land over there like you wouldn't believe. Now, no shocker. That's their bias. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the Europeans, I don't know what it is. They love that Japanese box. And then Fireball says the honest issue with the Japanese devs is that they are stuck using dated Aztec and codes that just don't want to bother learning new tools. I think that's a good point also. So the PS5 favors them by brute forcing performances. I think that's a very good point. They are, kind of stuck and don't really like to expand their horizon. Tobunobu always said that he always loved Microsoft because their approach with tech is always having the best and, the best hardware going forward for consoles always, and that he always admired that, and that's why he wanted to work with them again. He's always said that, the creator of Ninja Gaiden, Tobunobu Degaki. So, guys, I want to know what Unlimited's topic was because I really haven't discussed it. He wants to bring it up. So let's talk about it because it is getting late, and that way we don't have to run too late. It is a Sunday night, and, we can finish off the show. So, Unlimited, what is the topic you wanted to talk about, brother? Bring it up and ask away.
Yeah, so pretty much I saw something interesting today, and that Hi-Fi Rush that PC release has, I don't know how to pronounce it. It starts with a D, like Duvino or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And people are upset that they can't pirate the game. And so my thing is that I don't feel bad.
Mm.
I don't feel bad for these so-called PC gamers who can't pirate these games. They're upset at
Mhm.
Callisto Protocol and other recently released games that has it. And
Mhm.
and the thing is, I have a nuanced approach to things. I think when you buy a product, you should own it, do whatever you want. But if piracy got to the point that these gaming companies needs to put in that software that got to check that they actually bought the fucking game, maybe
Mhm.
that tells you something.
Yeah, that's a
I want to get everybody's opinions on what do you guys think of this of Hi-Fi Rush being pirated.
mhm. Well, if you want me to start, or you want somebody else to start? I mean,
No,
that's
anyone could start.
well. Also, now that you brought that up, the Duvino thing that they're using, the software, is to prevent piracy. But somehow, because of that program, right?
Mhm.
Supposedly, they had leaked out Hi-Fi Rush under another name or some type of SKU, and they were talking about that also in the front, trying to pro. Oh yeah, really? They get leak? Oh wow! And they were like kind of like trying to praise the fact that it was leaked out, by Divino, by default, like like a happy accident. And I'm like, why are they doing that? Like that's pretty stupid. Me personally, I don't feel sorry for any PC gamer. Okay, and I'm being very clear. Any PC gamer that feels that it's okay to pirate a game and play it for free. And then turn around and later cry saying, hey, these developers, they don't know how to make games, or the games don't come out too good and they're not optimized well enough, or they need to make better games and things of that nature because we pay money for it. Because if you're not paying for it and stealing it, how do you expect games to be better optimized, have better quality, have more releases on more services, and be of the highest caliber or quality in comparison to, let's say, console. That's why console games are always better optimized and are always in better condition, right? Because console gamers genuinely we buy games. Even with Game Pass, as was proven with Hi-Fi Rush, being on Game Pass is still sold well. And it's another argument in between those lines that just shows too that when people try to bring up that whole thing of look, look at the Steam numbers, it's doing better than this. When they do that bullshit, I'm like, that's also a stupid comparison because I've always said, and I brought this up earlier the week, as you guys remember, that the console numbers and players are way different than what you see on Steam. So if Halo has 7,000 players, it doesn't mean that there's 7,000 players on Xbox Live. You go to Xbox Live and you'll see that there's over 100,000 people playing the game. So it's not a clear cut comparisons, apples to apples or apples to orange or whatever the saying is. You guys know what I mean. And that's why I also said that those comparisons are very kind of a waste of time and stupid, to be honest, because they don't compare. Console gamers are very different, and it's a very different environment and very different type of players than what it is on Steam, as we all know, because people like Pertanga and that's so Alex, not to give them any clout, but that they're the first ones that tout things like emulations and emulators and let's play this for free, and you get what I'm saying? And then they want to make fun of the console gamers saying, all they do is console war. It's so stupid, blah, 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 blah. Because they swear up and down that developers can make money just by making games and putting it on console. And that's it. And they'll make money with sales when not all games sell well, right? And we know this. So that's my thought. I don't feel sorry, just like you said, for any PC gamer touting, oh, you know, this is a shame. Why can't we pirate it? And then they come back and say some hypocrite shit like, oh, but the game didn't do well. So what you expect? It's because this game's not that good. It's garbage. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm with you there, man. I just find it ridiculous that people who are literally stealing games think they're the good guys in this
Mm-hmm.
situation. And then when you question them, they attack you as if, oh, why are you supporting corporation? I'm not blindly
Oh,
supporting
you're
the
a corporate
corporation.
slave. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just using objective thought. If I made a product that I sold to the market and you got it for free, why wouldn't I do something to try to stop you
Mhm.
from not paying for my product? You know what I'm
And
saying?
since when it was something
Especially for a $30 game. If you don't have
right,
$30 for a video
especially
game,
right,
that's
that's a
on
great
you.
point too. It's different in understanding of the games like $80, 70, and then the game is kind of half-assed. Okay, we get it. It's a hard sell, but something that's $30, then it also has good quality and it's
Yeah,
fun.
this is a game. Listen, this is a game of the year contender. This
Right,
game, this
right
game. I'm telling you right now, if we do if I do a game of the year list for this year, this is gonna be up there
on your
easily.
list. Right, right,
Yeah,
and it wouldn't
this
be
game's
surprising. Right.
incredible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you think, Sigma Man? What do you think on that thought of the Duvino software preventing these ass fucks on PC? And I'm not talking about the real PC gamers that actually buy games, that actually give a fuck about the industry and gaming, like Unlimited brought up, that are complaining because they can't download or pirate Callisto Protocol or something like Hi-Fi Rush. And then adding insult to injury, Hi-Fi Rush is not only quality, but it's only $30, and they're still crybabying about it.
Well, yeah, I think it hurts the developers too, man, because they want to keep, pirating these games, and and that's not really, honestly, that's not supporting a developer, right? You're not, by you pirating the game, that's not
30
supporting a developer.
for me. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's been going on for so long, long, long time, pirating games and stuff. And I'm with Unlimited on it. I don't believe it. I don't believe in it, man. I don't believe they should be pirating the games, and I'm glad that they put that in there. I don't have nothing. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have nothing against PC gamers. I really don't. I play on
Yeah.
my laptop when I can.
None of us
So,
do. Yeah.
I'm not a PC player, but I do play on my laptop sometimes. I play my Game Pass on there, so I'm kind of considered a like slash almost PC player. Like on the go or whatever. If I don't take my Xbox, but I don't believe in that, man. You're not supporting and you're not helping the developer by doing that, by pirating the game, and then like you said, coming back and saying, "Oh, you need to make a better game. You need this. You need that." I mean, that's ridiculous, and it's just terrible, And companies are getting tired of it too, because they're not getting paid, and it takes a lot of money, some time and time and effort to make these games. And if you just want to pirate for free and play it for free, I just don't think it's right, man. You know what I mean? If they like the game, and they like it, and let's say it's $10 and they still pirate it, it's a shame. It's a shame that
Imagine walking into like a restaurant, getting food. Now I'm not paying for it. You're supposed to feed me. I'm a human being.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense, dude, to do that. And if they're mad about it, that's too bad. You know what I mean? And believe me, they're going to try to find a way. They're going to try to find a way because it's a challenge to them. But
Mhm.
it's wrong to do that, man. It's wrong to do that because you're not helping the developer. The more you buy the games and play the games like Game Pass and like Unlimited bought the IP, you might see you might see a part 2 to that game.
I remember. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's another good point too. You won't see sequels. Absolutely.
Right,
I,
exactly.
I remember, the team that did Quantum Break. Remedy.
Hmm.
They did this thing where whoever pirated it, right? The main character will have like a mustache or some shit, or like his pants will like look like they're falling off or something, like some funny shit. They did it where you could tell whoever pirated by having that bug in the game and shit, and motherfuckers were getting mad and shit. But I thought it was clever that they did that, which was pretty funny, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so my brother Sega Forever. Last but certainly not least, what are your thoughts on that? What Unlimited said with the Divino software with PC gamers crying about it. Are you glad? Or you think it's good, or you think it's unfair to the PC community?
I mean, look, I'm not a PC gamer, and I agree with Gogo says. Gogo said that most of these dudes aren't really PC gamers. Because I work with a bunch of guys who are basically tech nerds and they're PC gamers. PC gamers, like to me, the PC gamer elite don't care about console games at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the same way like we were talking about Steam and how we don't really care about the numbers and stuff like that. We
Hmm.
have our own little spaces. With that being said, yeah, 100% support de novo. Is that's what if that's what it's called? Oh, and the mix says de novo. That's how you pronounce it.
Denevo, I think. Or
Yeah.
Denevo.
So I think that's I support that. Also, if they're gonna do that, they should stop all the cheating and all these shooting games. That's becoming ridiculous. It's taking all the fun of it. It's killing the community. Um, and something like that needs to be done because I'm going to tell you guys, like, it's interesting this was brought up because what I said earlier about the piracy during the PlayStation 2 era. Do you know how many developers we lost?
Mm-hmm.
Right, because this is the same thing we talk about now. This is what turned me on to the fact that when PlayStation guys now talk about how much their games sell, and then we look at the player base and how much their games sell. Right,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a one for one. And this goes all the way back to like that late 90s, early 2000s because
Yeah,
piracy was so rampant. And I can say that for a fact because, I knew a lot of people.
that's what her Dreamcast too.
Yeah, Dreamcast.
Easy to pirate for, and remember it carried on into the 360 era as well.
Well, I knew people that did. There was people that not only could, because it was a rare thing for a person. You have to have that technical savvy. But it got to a point where there's a lot of people that were pirating it.
Anybody,
A
right?
lot of people, then they were selling it, and then and they're selling on a mass scale. Like you could get it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's what. And then we lost a whole generation of developers because of that,
Right.
right? Because like I said, like Sony had whatever how they always say Sony sold the PlayStation sold 200, 400 million and all this crap,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm like, look at how many games they sold.
Yeah. It was
Right.
like 1 or 2 to 1 to each console, something like that. The ratio.
And if even, dude, I know so many people, bro, so many, and I'm talking good games too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because it's like the guys like us who are actually this is like our hobby and our lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So it matters to us. This is another thing when you got normies coming into something that you love. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and people, it's a human nature thing, dude. People really shouldn't steal at all.
Plus, it gives a wrong impression to the younger kids growing up. They'll start to think, oh, it's okay. We can steal games.
Well,
It's
we're
fine.
dealing with that fallout now, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with that fallout now because this has happened before. So people feel entitled now, and then people will make up any reason not to do that. Look, if you don't got the money, a lot of people don't have the money, so don't feel alone,
Well,
right? And there's organic ways to get these games, right? You just wait for it to go on sale,
yes.
right?
Or
Or
Game Pass. I think that's why Game Pass is playing such a big role.
yeah, that's what I'm about to say. Or you subscribe to Game Pass, right? And you
Mhm.
support Game Pass because Game Pass is another avenue, and it's a great avenue for people to get their gaming fix.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
While
yeah,
still
I'm
supporting
all for it.
developers. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're all for it.
well because I'm just tired of it's just getting out of hand at this point.
Right.
Right.
Right. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, look,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. The only time when I say it's okay, right, to have maybe the ability to, and I don't mean to sell, I mean for your personal library, right, to download games and access them are for those games that were stuck, like in the arcade or in old systems that are very hard to acquire because they're ultra expensive, which our brother Sega man can attest for. He knows how expensive these fucking retro games have gotten, where you can't, a game like Raystorm on the PS2 costs like $200 for a physical
Yeah,
copy.
yeah, they're
Right?
so expensive. It's pretty much impractical.
Yeah, it's impractical, right?
Yeah.
And it's unrealistic. It's like what?
Well,
But in that,
Hiba, there's a market for that though.
absolutely, yes, you're right.
Yeah,
but
there's a market, but the average person ain't paying $200.
Yeah, but
for a
that's part of the market. That right. So
Right.
for me, it's like it's the same thing as like if we do comic books.
Mhm,
People who collect certain types of DVDs, people that are getting retro with the vinyl,
mhm.
right?
But the-
There's a market in there, and the reason why I bring this up and I'm passionate about it, right? Because
Mhm.
it shows to me if you're a fan or not.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're saying. From the perspective of only true fans would go out their way to spend it.
When I look at Sega Man's collection when he does his video, man, I'm very jealous. I am very jealous of the stuff that he has because some of that stuff I had, I no longer had it, and I made the mistake of getting rid of it. So I got to
But,
pay the price.
but we gotta also remember, to be fair, Sega Man got most of that stuff when it was just going on sale because those consoles were dying out or moved on to the next generation.
But
What
still,
then?
like that
What they?
Dreamcast collection,
Yeah, yeah,
the
absolutely.
Dreamcast collection that I had, just about every Dreamcast game, as well as the stuff that came from overseas,
Mhm.
right? So and that's why I feel passionate about it. I mean,
Right,
there's
right.
get into the market, dude. Save your money and support support that
Right.
market. But if you don't want to do that, then you shouldn't be in that market.
Well, I don't see how a person could have a problem if they're buying a $200, let's say, classic PS2 game, have a problem with buying a $30 game on like High on Life. You see what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't, I don't
yeah.
see that.
See, yeah. I forgot to mention that, but
Mhm.
accessibility is important to this discussion. You know,
Absolutely.
gaming does not do a good job preserving its history at all.
Oh no, it doesn't.
You know, I don't sweat. I don't sweat. You know, pirating them '80s games, them '90s games that are never going to be in print again, that are hard
Mhm.
to find. Like if you do that with
Or never got
s-
released.
yeah, yeah. If you do that with Panzer Dragoon Saga, I ain't mad at you. Nobody's
Right,
spending
right.
a
But
fucking
again,
thousand
you
dollars
saw
for
that I
that game.
said, right. But you know that you saw I said, as long as it's for your personal collection, not that you're selling it, right? Like
Yeah,
I can make a copy for you being my boy and send it to you, but for free because you're my boy, right? That's very different than go, oh, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna go sell that shit for $500 on Macari and make money off of it.
right.
Unpractically. That shit is just scumbag move, right?
Okay,
Ye-
so let me
Yeah,
tell you guys this story real quick. So I had a friend that could burn all these games, and he burned his games, right?
Okay.
But he bought all his games.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
He
Yeah. Yeah.
bought his games, but he burned his games so he could keep his games, the original stuff. In
Right.
that.
That's another good reason. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only. So there's people that did that. There are people just hacking just to hack. But at some point, when it got out there,
yeah. But I think your situation is anecdotal. I'm sorry. I just don't believe that most people who pirating did it out the kindness of their heart.
Mhm.
Or like Google Poe in the chat said that, oh, they pirate the test and demo. Yeah, I'm sure there are people who do that. Place, PC gamers who test and demo and buy it. I'm sorry. You'll never convince me that the average person got something for free and is like, I'm gonna still buy it anyway. No, you'll never
Mm,
convince me that's the norm.
I think in
no,
most cases, 90% won't buy it. I think you're right. I
well,
agree.
because of the internet and eBay and all that stuff exploding is what that's when you can make money off of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I mean, there are people that do that, but yeah, exactly, it is not the majority of people, and this is why we've lost, like I said, a generation of developers and studios that shut down.
Mhm.
When you look at the amount of consoles and how successful and as like, oh, gaming is growing bigger than movies, yeah, we lost so many studios, and I'm not, and I said we've lost a lot of great studios.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, but I hold them accountable because, some of those games should have been released, not for nothing, right?
Yeah,
And especially in the case of Sega. Sega got so many games they never bothered to release, which they should have, because they're arrogant and thought, oh, you just got to go to the arcades and play it. Swearing up and down the arcades was never going to die. You get what I'm trying to say? When
yeah,
the reality is they should have not. And I kind of get mad because you see it now. Microsoft got that Halo Raven squad in the arcade, right? Raw Thrills. I tweeted it out, and Raw Thrills said they would love to do a console version, but yet Microsoft hasn't brought it out. You got to go to the arcade to actually play it. And the game is a continuing story to Halo 1, right?
mhm.
Just like that Ninja Turtle beat 'em up from Nickelodeon that they
Mhm.
made. Another one that will be awesome to transfer over into the console space, and they haven't. I don't mind if it stays in the arcade exclusive for like a year or two, but at some point bring it out like they used to do back in the day in the Master System and NES era, and even the Genesis and Nintendo era, Super Nintendo. Because I don't think it's fair for people to miss out on games that connect, right? Because they have to forcefully go and play it in an arcade. People just don't realistically go to the arcades like that no more. It's just not a real thing. Or to a Dave and Buster's. It's not a real thing. You know what I mean? And neither does teenagers. They're more busy being on their phones, on social media, or on their tablets, or whatever the case may be. So, in that case, I think some developers should be home and publishers should be held accountable, and
I think
that's what creates the thirst for piracy. Is what I'm trying to say.
so. Yeah, but I think with that, right? It was I think they probably had an agreement with the company, right?
Probably, but I mean, Raw Thrills always tweeted out like, yeah, that they would love to do it. So that means that they're all for it. That's what that tells me, right?
Yeah, I'm just
Because
wondering.
they did that Cruising USA one for Nintendo.
Oh, I
But the
see.
thing is, because it's on a Nintendo console and it's based off an IP that not many people know, especially the younger kids now, it didn't do that well. So that doesn't mean that something like Halo Raven Squad won't. You see what I'm trying to say? That Halo Raven Squad could definitely be sell boatloads for them. It's a real shooting gun too. A Halo game, connecting tissue to the other worlds and to the continuation to the first game. I think it would just be a nice, refreshing little game that would come out arcade stuff for the consoles. So before we get out, let's read some of the last comments, guys. It's already
Yeah, the
12,
chat is
12. From the
the
chat,
chat.
Google post that said there's still good Japanese devs. Yes, absolutely. I agree. I think the Resident Evil devs are top, as well as the Kojima Studios, and Kojima specifically hired a lot of top tier devs from Japan. I, me personally, I think Kojima's overrated. No offense,
Yeah,
Gogopo. I can't stand none of his games
too
since he,
pretentious for my taste.
yeah, and he's too pretend. Yeah, he's too self indulgent. I think with his games.
He's artsy.
Right, he's too artsy fartsy. Yeah. But here's the thing: the reason why he's like that is because he really went to school for movies to become a movie director. But that didn't pan out for him. He kind of got into the gaming space as a happy accident. So that's why you see it in his games. But he's never kind of tried to find a way out of that and get more into the gaming side of it and still stay with the movie element of it. And people think, oh, this is all new when it's not, because movie-driven style games have been out since like the Super Nintendo era. Maybe not as elaborate, obviously, but then it went and migrated with the CD era when they started having full motion videos and things of that nature. And that's what people need to understand. But they think it's, oh no, this is new. Sony did this. No, absolutely not. So in the mix said it was called Du Nouveau, Du Nouveau or something like that, right? The program. And then Fireball said the problem with Capcom's newer Resident Evil engine is that it's still cross-gen and minded, so it has bugs. Yes, absolutely, Fireball. So I agree. In the mix says, I rip my own Switch games and buy to play them on my PC deck. Okay, no problem. In the mix, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, as long as it's for your own personal space, you're not doing nothing wrong. I feel you, brother. And then we have in the mix again. He said, not just that, he bought Steam numbers also ignore the PC players on Game Pass, Microsoft Store, and the Microsoft Store / because you got cross buy and cross progression with campaigns, right?
Hey, Hebot, I need to get going, man.
Okay, brother, no problem.
All right, man.
No
Great
problem.
show.
Thank
Great
you
show.
for,
Hit me up
for
next time.
joining me. Yeah, thank you, brother.
All right.
And then said Gogo Post says he bought those guys are not real PC gamers. They're not even gamers. They just mind. Oh, they just mind the salt. Right. They like getting, that negative attention just by creating troll posts. I agree. In the mix. And the mix also said Steam fanboys don't want to admit, but most people will go to a Game Pass when they get the Halo Infinite campaign with it. No one on Steam is paying $60 for the campaign only. And I can see that because for many years, it's always been that misconception that PC gamers buy games when the reality is the data doesn't back it. The most popular game on PC till this day, I think, as far as what it sells, how it's sold, is still to this day, brother Sega forever, is Gran Turismo. It's still Gran Turismo, and that's very indicative because Gran Turismo is probably the most highest selling game of all time because of what it is and the nature of what it is. So I wouldn't doubt it. In the mix also said, imagine pirating when Game Pass exists. Yeah, right. For real, you gotta be a real cheap motherfucker. Gogo Post also said people pirate usually to test or demo games. I think Unlimited touched on this. Yeah, I don't see nothing wrong in that. But when they play the whole game and then want to complain or play it on Steam, beat it, and then the next day or a couple hours later, like, oh, refund me. I think that's a scumbag move. I think that's why they implemented a 2-hour window. And it says it's been with PC gaming for a long time. The general rule is you pay for it if you're gonna play it. Absolutely.
But just to say, I mean, once that got out in the wild, though, that it became easy for people to do it.
Yeah. Great point.
You remember, Hebot? I remember I knew this person when I was working at Domino's Pizza, man. They were selling movies that were in the theater on VHS for like $2.50.
Yeah.
Stuff
Even
like
with the movies, with movie videos. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Then in the mix says Google Post Steam's refund policies should prevent that. They should, but that doesn't mean they don't find loopholes and ways around it. But you're right. And then it says Google Post said, yeah, a lot of PC gamers are into MMOs or games like League of Legends. Very true.
Yeah,
Or
great. That's a great point, Google.
right. And then he said, or CS, very specific games. What's CS? I don't know. Google
I
Poll.
think
What exactly is CS?
I think Counter Strike,
Okay.
maybe. Yeah, my son
Okay.
plays Counter Strike.
Okay. You should know because you know you're on PC, right? Yeah. Then it says Google Post says I can go on a long talk about piracy and PC gaming. It's a subject that's been around since the 80s. Oh yeah, we know Google
Oh yeah.
Post.
Oh yeah.
We were there, we lived it, we know. I've
Yeah.
been playing since '79. Odyssey was my first console, and Pong was the first big hit for that transition from arcade to home. We know. It says there's some positives actually. A game like Doom or Duke Nukem thrive from piracy. Same with CS. Yeah, but again, Google Poll, those are exceptions, right? There is positive, but they're exceptions. They're not going to
Well,
be for the masses, right?
yeah, Google once the like I said, once it became general, right, or that people like
Right.
the average person, like I know what you're saying because
hmm
the only way that I got to play Doom, and actually I don't want to say too much about it, I got to play Doom. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say this. But the way that I got to play Doom was exactly what you're saying because it was just being passed around and stuff like that. But yeah, it can be it's something that
Well, I remember being able to play Half Life for the first time because the NPC they did a piracy.
well, it
Yeah.
was just like you're saying, Gogo. It was kind of a different time, you know.
Yeah.
Like, especially when eBay kicked off. I just remember
Oh yeah,
people
for
were used
sure.
to purchasing and doing stuff online. That's when it all
Yeah.
it just blew up.
Oh yeah.
In my
So
humble opinion. In my experience, I should say.
right. Well, I think in all of us, it's fair to say. Then it's Google Post also said, Google Poll rather said, there was also piracies on console too.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what killed the Dreamcast in a lot of ways. Absolutely. Then it says Toolman 55, and that's also a reason Google Poll, not for nothing, why the Sega Saturn did that so complex and sophisticated architecture because they were trying to prevent that with the bad experiences they had with the Genesis and people stealing games and putting them on other games like the NEC and the Nintendo through other publishers like Tengen, for example, right?
Well, they did.
Uh,
Sega did too. Sega did too good of a job on it.
oh yeah, that fucking Saturn just got broke like what 5 years ago after all those years. So Toolman 55, my brother, thank you for joining me, Toolman. I'm so glad you stopped by. He said, "What's up, guys?"
What's
Then
up?
Gogo Poll said, "A game like Vampire Savior is so easily pirated, but it sold because people wanted to support it. Minecraft became popular because of piracy." Yeah. Again, Pogo Poll, you got great points, but those are like the exceptions, right? It's one of those things where it doesn't work for the main majority of games. But I do understand what you're saying. You're right.
Yeah,
If
you're
kids
not wrong. You're not
no,
wrong.
you're not wrong.
Nah.
Nobody, it's a case that you're not wrong, but it doesn't apply to every situation because for whatever it is and because of the nature of the gaming industry how it is, right? But you're not wrong. We're not. I'm not saying that. We're not saying that. I understand exactly what you mean. Smitty Smith, we got next. Yeah, finally, Smitty, I gotta be able to get in here. Look, I'm already running my mouth too long and talking too much shit late at night.
What's up, Smitty? What's up, Smitty?
What's up, Smitty? Yes, sir. And then it says in the mix said, I think it's okay for older games like PS2 and back catalogs, I guess is what he meant to say. It's not like the devs and publishers would get paid if I buy a PlayStation 2 game and the games on eBay. Yeah, you're right. That's
Mhm.
another thing that I don't understand why they make such big deal about the retro collecting because the reality is they're trying to give it all this value, but none of these games are making money off developers now and publishers are not going to make money off of it. The value is put there by the owner. It's not really put there by the actual developers and publishers that made the game in the first place. So I think that's a good point. I think the gaming retro collecting space is way overhyped, in my personal humble opinion. Not that it's something wrong. I just think it's way too overhyped. Google Poll said it's a lot like piracy with movies and music, but gaming has its own wired code. In the mix said not selling, but just emulating. Absolutely, I agree. For your own personal ventures, I don't have anything against it. Google Post said the biggest uh, combat to piracy is incentives to play legally, like multiplayer and achievements. It actually makes people buy a game. Yes, sir, absolutely.
That's why we're
Incentives are.
doing live service as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's like Game Pass service works because it's a great incentive with no risk. Absolutely. Google Poll also said don't use him as a standard, though they are people like him. I don't know exactly who you're talking in reference to. Whatever it is, just if you're still there, let me know. But I get what you're saying, and then that's true. There are people that won't buy. Absolutely. Okay, and then in the mix says, especially when Steam gives you only 2 hours before you can get a refund.
Oh wow, I didn't know
Yeah, it's only 2 hours.
that.
That's the cap. But you know what? If they don't do that, they'll beat the game and forget about it. Google poll also said, but it's usually marked as a loss like people who download music and movies. Radiant 96 said piracy is not a black and white issue. There are benefits like reservation, absolutely, especially when these companies don't want to bring them back on their own unless they're overcharging you and not even do a lot of work, like in the case with the remaster for GoldenEye. That shit is just highway robbery. It's not even worth the time. In the mix also said you need Jet Set Radio back in my life. Yeah, yeah, real.
Did you hear what Phil said?
Yeah, yeah. That he tried really hard to get the game on the backwards
Yeah,
rap program, but somehow couldn't. But I know why. It's
yeah,
the music, the licensing. I
yeah.
bet you that's why they couldn't do it because that licensing shit is hard. Because these motherfuckers in this world think, oh, you got my music in the game, you definitely got to pay me because they think the games are selling like boatloads. Like it's something new, and they
Well,
don't
the thing,
understand that if it's an old game, it's just to preserve it, and it
yeah,
doesn't really sell. They don't get that, right?
yeah. That's a battle that needs to be fought. But
That's why I'm the only kind of negative that I don't like about Hi-Fi Rush because they use real world
well,
music from real people. But I hope long term it doesn't that they came to an agreement where they'll actually leave it there and that long term they don't ruin the game, right?
well,
Because
you saw what and they also have like their own music, like the
right,
Bethesda.
right, it has its own original
Bethesda.
music also.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I
for
thought
sure,
that
for
that might
sure.
be the answer for that. Yeah,
Right. But if you
I'm not saying.
notice,
I hope they can keep it forever, but I don't know.
but if you notice,
Mhm.
also that's what's hurting because they're going to do the upcoming Lollipop Chainsaw. It's going
Yeah,
to be re-released
yeah.
because a lot of games and people didn't discover it during 360, and that was one hell of a game that I love. But the problem is all the music that was in it or was completely stripped out. They have to create new audio for it. If it's good enough to hold your attention, good, but it just kind of takes away from the authenticity of the original game. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why
So
everybody keeps on throwing around that electronic bill of rights thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So that in that sense, that's why I say it sucks, right? So Google Post said piracy is actually a part of distribution. It's almost necessary. Maybe in certain situations, yes, maybe. Then Google Poll said again, I totally agree with you guys. Piracy is bad too. A lot of people don't pay at all. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Like they
But I
say,
mean,
you can't always have nice things.
right, you can't have your cake, eat it too. But it's
Yeah,
like in the case of like what we were talking about earlier, Hi-Fi Rush is only $30. Why would you want to pirate something that is so accessible in price? Or like our brother Sega Forever said so elegantly, just wait for a sale if you don't want to pay the $30.
yeah.
It's
Or
there's other ways, right?
But I
Um,
mean, do they have a physical copy of the game though?
Not yet. That's why I was saying I really hope they
Yeah.
do make it because I think it's a good candidate for a
Yes.
physical and it deserves it.
Yeah, it does.
You
I
know what I
think that's
mean?
sometimes that's where they hurt themselves a little.
And because they'll also be able to hit that audience that not necessarily is on social or on YouTube the way that we are.
Hmm.
Because there are people, believe it or not, that just go to GameStop and buy games regularly, but don't be on YouTube. or don't be on Twitter, or don't be, on Instagram. And believe it or not, there are those people. So if they go in the store, they see the box and it looks artsy fartsy, and they look, oh, from the guys who did Evil Within, from the original creator of Resident Evil. Wow, because those games already have pedigree. They'll be like, I want to try it out. So I think it's a good option.
I think that game is so stylized that it will draw attention to
It
itself.
will draw attention, even from the teenagers, I think, right? Even from maybe young kids. So in the mix and Counter Strike, yes,
Oh yeah, so it was Counter Strike. Okay, thanks in the mix.
right. Then Yogo
Sorry, we're
posted, huh?
I say sorry, we're old.
Oh no,
How
no,
many
no. That's why we got. That's why I love the chat, because the chat, they got our backs. They got our backs. And then Gogo Post said the alternative is what I'm arguing against is just as a part of the market now. Right, right. I got you. Radiance 96 said piracy is a service issue. Okay. Epic's delisted their Epic delisted their Unreal Engine games, and now the only way to get them is pirating. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. There's certain things like with licensing issues, like with Forza, you can't get none of those games anymore digitally at all. The only way you get it physical. So people know this. So now the physical copies of, let's say, Forza Horizon 1, it goes for like $400, $300, because that's the only way you can access it with all the cars and all the actual content, physically. Gogo Post says, yep, the piracy scene keeps a lot of old games alive, especially old MMOs. In my case, it's those beat 'em ups. Love them. Uh, you were, you were referencing Alex, who talks a lot about pirating. You're right, right, right. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for that, Gogo Poll. And then in the mix says Hi-Fi Rush has a streaming mode that replaces the copyright stuff, so that the backup plan. So that's the backup plan. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I did see that. I noticed that. So they don't have to worry about licensing issues later on in the future, I guess. Right, right. But I'm thinking that's more for streamers. I'm talking about like when the contract ends with the, let's say there's a song there by 9 Inch Nails. I don't know if they created the song original. It was like an original song they created for the game or not. But if it was one of their older songs that they implemented in the game, it might create a problem down the road if the licensing contract deal expires and they want to renew it and they want to get paid again, but this time they want more money, but Microsoft can't give it to them because the game's not selling anymore the way it was when it first came out. And those are the issues that I'm talking about. That's why I think it's good that they also print it physically, because once it's physical and all the content is in the disc, they can never take it out of the disc. They can take it out digitally, but not out of the disc. So that's kind of like another way of over, what you call that? My brother say it forever. Overpassing, like over, like, it's kind of a way of they could bypass, yes, of bypassing that issue.
And plus, with backwards compatibility, it also kind of saves the issue of when you get a new console.
Yeah, because Microsoft promised forward compatibility. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. From this point forward. That's right. And then in the mix says, I agree, Hebot. If the contract does, and they could just make the streamer mode standard with no copyright music, I'm thinking. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, yeah. So, brother, Sega Forever, I'm glad you stopped by.
Yeah,
The first question that I had asked, if you want to just give you quick thoughts before we close out, is basically how I was talking about the hypocrisy in the gaming space now, how they have all this hype behind the Super Mario Brothers movie, the Last of Us TV show, acting as if Sony once again is paving the way in the movie or TV space, making good quality movie to or game to movie translations, when Microsoft wanted to actually fuse it with gaming right in the beginning of 2013, when they promised a Forza show, when they promised a Rise Son of Rome show, and everybody, and even though they had the exclusive, everybody was like, oh, they're talking about is movie, not games, which we all know is a bunch of bullshit. And also keeping in mind that from the very beginning, for a long while, I think what really truly hit the mark for me personally, I think was when they first did the Mortal Kombat movie. I think Mortal Kombat's translation from New Line Cinema at the time was the best interpretation of a video game to movie format at that time, even though obviously the budget wasn't there, the special effects weren't as advanced, but I think it held its own and did a good job. And then it followed by things like the Tomb Raiders with the Angelina Jolie's, obviously the first part or the first movie of um, Silent Hill. I think it was a very good interpretation, of what the game was.
Hmm.
Obviously, we had horrible movies like The House of the Dead, like Ubi Balls, Alone in the Dark, and freaking the Mario Brothers with John Leguizamo. That's not what I'm talking about. And then as a recent memory, Sonic. Sonic did very well, one and two.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, so I feel that it drives me crazy to see the hypocrisy out now. Everybody wants to tell, oh, The Last of Us or the upcoming God of War, the Gran Turismo movie. Even though I don't, I always felt like games and movies can correlate and work well,
Hmm.
and yet they're trying to downplay, like saying things like the Halo wasn't good quality, even though the Halo was $100 million to cost in production with Paramount, and it still managed to get more viewership with less subscribers than, let's say, HBO Max, right?
Yeah.
Or the fact that it didn't have a A-list star, like, let's say, the way they consider Pedro Pascal on The Last of Us versus whoever played Chief in the Halo show. It wasn't like A-list actor, right? And yet they still did a good job. Or the fact that the Halo, when they changed, let's say, Captain Keys from being white to black, even though he's has a relationship with Chief, he doesn't have a connection that is more personal, right? And
Mm.
yet on The Last of Us, the whole point of the game was that Joel, when he loses his daughter and he meets Ellie and he creates a bond with her, that he falls kind of in love with her as a daughter or daughter-like figure because she reminded him of his daughter because of the way she looks and the way she acts. But yet in the TV show, they turned the girl black, which is supposed to be his daughter, and even her personality doesn't match nothing like the way that Ellie is, which makes it stupid because that was the whole plot point of the game, right?
Yeah.
And it directly affects it because it's a personal relationship. It's part of Joel's character and a personal connection with Ellie through her with about his daughter, which is part of the story. It's not like Chief that Captain Keys being black doesn't affect him being Captain Keys as long as it's being played by a good actor. You see what I'm trying to say? And
Mm.
that was my whole spiel on the first topic. So if you want to elaborate and your thoughts, how do you feel about the hypocrisy you're seeing now on that? What do you think?
It's just like the game. It's just like gaming, right?
Hmm.
So it's unfortunate because there's so many things going on with movies and television shows and production in general, right? But this is definitely, well, at least it strikes me um, as something that just extends from gaming, right? Because a lot of the people are talking about this, like who's actually talking about um, what's the game? I can't think of it. Right. The Last of Us. Who's actually talking about it?
Hmm.
Like, I mean, is it being talked about like by IGN, who supposedly does a lot of pop culture stuff? But we
Hmm.
know they slant towards Sony. Right. I haven't the people that I follow, at least on the pop culture side, I haven't heard really anybody talk about The Last of Us. I mean, I hear people giving the numbers, like supposedly it had 20 million views or something.
Hmm.
That's all I hear. I don't really hear it on the Hollywood side, just mostly on the gaming side.
But the hypocrisy that kills me is how the hypocrisy that kills me is how even people that never played video games, right?
Hmm.
Like a John Campia, right?
Yeah.
You know who John Campia is, right? I
Oh yeah,
believe,
yeah. I used to watch him. Yeah, I used to watch him. I
right?
haven't watched him in a while.
Which I can't stand him anymore because he has no integrity. He's just a follower. You could tell. He's
He's
a
a
bag
show.
chaser, right?
Yeah, he wants to. Yeah, he has to make his money and be in.
Right. He wants to always be in the know, and if he has to follow a narrative, he'll do it. That's all he cares about. So these people, are not gamers, never play games. All of a sudden, they're playing the game on their channel.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm streaming the game because I want to see how true to the source material it really is, 1 to 1, so I can make these great comparisons. It's so great, the show's so great, blah blah blah. The writing is fantastic, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, these guys are just sucking on them because they're coming at it from the perspective of the movie industry because Sony's part of the movie industry. You understand? Because Sony likes to give a lot of incentive to these guys when they make out a new movie or when they send out new TVs and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like they're trying to create a new narrative. Like Sony's the industry leader now with making movies to games to movies. The way they try to do, like they're the industry leaders when it comes to evolving video games, when that's never been the case.
Right.
So that's what pisses me off the most, right?
Well, they're probably trading on their name, right? There was a time when Sony was all of that, but
Right.
this is not those times.
Long ago, brother.
And I think they were smart in getting the casting because I saw who they picked.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like the girl as an actress. I won't watch the show. I don't own a PlayStation. I don't play the game, so there's no reason for me to watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that the actress that they picked, I really loved her in Game of Thrones. She was one of the best things in Game of Thrones that I liked in the latter seasons. And then, of course, the other Pedro Pascal. I like him as an actor. When I first saw him. Oh, go ahead.
No, what I was going to say was, if I can interject that.
Yeah.
As a show, because they pick good actors, right?
Mhm.
Because unfortunately, Sony has that edge and advantage that they have connection to the industry of movies because they've been involved in it.
Mhm.
I can honestly tell you the show feels quality, right? It's good.
Oh,
If
okay.
you watch it for what it is as a show, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What I don't like is that they're trying to act as if only Sony is trying to create this environment of
Yeah.
shows based off games with quality, and nobody else has tried it before in the past, has succeeded, or has never done it, or that Microsoft's never tried it either or succeeded. You see what I'm trying to say?
Well, they're like I said, they're trading on their name, and it's just Sony being Sony. But I think it's a perfect example of why Sony as a company are where they are now. Right. The great thing about having like a brand name like Sony does, like Sony has, is because people know who you are and you can use it to your advantage.
It's got that global presence, right?
Right. But the problem with that is that it's a two-edged sword. The problem is you can get stuck, right? In the movie industry, they call it typecasting.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're seeing with this show and what Sony produces as far as games are concerned, me and Unlimited talked about this in a little bit, kind of an off topic, but I thought it was really funny that for all the AAA games that Sony has, one of the biggest games that made a splash last year was Stray.
Right.
Basically, kind of like an indie title. And it's funny because it made such a big splash because it was something outside of the ordinary of what Sony does now, which they used to do back in the day, right? They were the artsy. They were the ones that, like people forget, they're the ones that brought over Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That started off the craze in the U.S., right? I used to watch Sony classic pictures. I was a Sony fanboy in that sense of their electronics, but they owned all those music companies, right? They had a bunch of studios. That's their past, but they've just become a shell of themselves. And I'm just being honest. They're just a shell of themselves. So for me, I think what you're looking at with this show, them getting their kudos. I mean, it's just people just sucking up to them, I guess, and their fans are like, oh, they love to. There's a guy I follow on YouTube for comic book stuff and everything like that, and he was talking about how great the show was and how good the game is, and I could tell he's a Sony guy, right? But outside of that, dude, I haven't really heard that much about.
Right. Well, they're not calling it hypocrisy because the whole plot point alone of the story just don't match and make any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually agree with you. Right, I agree with you that Microsoft and their products are held to a higher standard. This is what a lot of the guys that are the studios that are coming underneath the Microsoft fold are finding. I said that to Unlimited last night. I'm pretty sure Todd Howard and Pete Hines probably didn't have any idea what it meant to be a studio under Microsoft, the level of hate they would get.
Mm-hmm.
And even Todd Howard talked about that in an off comment when he was being interviewed. It's just like it's a different type of expectation when you're under Microsoft, right? And I know he was referencing just the hate that people get just because you're associated with Microsoft, especially Xbox in the gaming space. So yeah, I understand. I agree 100%. I mean, the hypocrisy. It doesn't surprise me that it extends to the small screen
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Mm-hmm. And like now that they know that Sony don't have a lot of games for 2023, let's push this movie to TV narrative, right?
Yeah. Yeah, see, Google says Sony movies and music division do a good job though. That's their bread and butter more than gaming. The games, yeah, but that's Sony. They're not the same Sony though, bro.
Right. That's another thing. They're not the same, even in that space. Yeah. Mhm.
In electronics, man, South Korea is just dominating, and China.
Those movies, those Venom movies were horrible. They were garbage. I was like, what the hell?
Microsoft, in the mix, yeah.
Yeah,
sorry.
and it makes sense. Microsoft was ahead of the game yet again. Yeah, absolutely. With that movie and TV infusion, it was fantastic. Something that I was really excited about. I'm really disappointed when they said we're going to shut it down and not do it. I was like, wow, really? They need it. Now look, they paid Netflix $20 billion for marketing and doing stuff for their games in the future, which is the first project is a live action Gears of War, which I hope it works out and it comes out fantastic.
Also, so who's paying? What? Netflix is paying Microsoft how much?
No, Microsoft paid Netflix
Why?
$20 billion for marketing through their platform
Oh, why are they paying Netflix?
because they're doing a marketing deal with them, and Netflix is doing the live action Gears of War movie straight to Netflix.
Oh, but Netflix is doing the production end.
Yeah, they're taking the bill. So I guess Microsoft said, okay, so let's start doing marketing with them
Yeah,
and invest this type of money. You know what I
I'm
mean?
saying, yeah, Microsoft $20 million.
Well, I think that's why there's that rumor going around saying that they might buy Netflix,
Yeah, I hope they do. I hope
and that would take care of all their future endeavors when it comes to movies.
Well, not
Because
just that,
right off the hip, they're gonna have over 100 million people watching.
I think it'll be a great investment for them.
Yeah, I think it'll be a smart investment to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, and they have.
So, real quick, Gogo Poll says Sony.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
yeah, we read that. Totally agree. Electronic Sony is a small now. Gogo Poll again. Well, not small, just compared to other divisions in terms of income. Right, right. Netflix is going to have a cheaper sub.
So
cheaper
can I speak to
subs.
that? Can I speak to that real quick?
One more thing. Yeah, Google posted their ads will run from Azura. Okay, go ahead.
So on the Sony one, not small compared to the other. Yeah. So this is what I was talking about earlier about the culture, right? It's that like what you talk about, Eva, the mind
Hmm.
share, right? The mind share. So there was a time, where people like Sony was that gold standard, but not just in the quality, which they had a lot of great quality stuff, but also just in the branding, right? So people knew what a Vega was, like all these buzzwords that would hit that Sony would use, people would know, right? Especially people that was into electronics. So that's what I'm talking about. But now, it's not like that for Sony. People think of like what do they call that? Geez, OLED, right? They associate that with LG. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about earlier with what needs to happen with Microsoft in
Right.
the gaming space. Microsoft needs to take that. So I only mentioned that because Google. That's. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a great point about how that's an example of how Microsoft. I mean, Sony's.
But again, it comes off of, like you said, the mind share that they established before.
Yeah.
But they're not like that anymore.
No,
Right.
they're not. That's and I only say, and I don't say that like to be like people think I hate on them. I'm like, no, dude, because I had all this.
He
stuff.
goes, I'm old, by the way. I know also old Sony even before they were movies and music.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
older than both of you. LOL. I mean, you might be. I'm 47, 48. And Sega Forever is
I'm
about the
almost
same
50.
age.
Yeah, I'm
He's almost 50. So I was born in '79. So
yeah, go. I know, man. I've seen your comments, dude. I know.
mhm.
I know you know. So
The fact that you can have a conversation without taking it personal, whether we agree or disagree, shows
yeah,
that you're old.
yes, thank you, Google. The fact that yeah, because we've disagreed on stuff in the chats before, but it's refreshing to have somebody that you can just have a discussion with. So I
Right,
appreciate.
right, right, right. Oh, you're 49. Oh, not bad.
Yeah, yeah. I figured we're about the same age.
Hmm. All right, brother Sega Forever. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you.
I went in kind of long, but that's because, as
Yeah,
people
I'm sorry.
came in, I like to give everybody a chance to talk. I've always done that format.
Yes.
Thank you to the entire chat for being so kind and gracious to stay here, hang out, give us your opinion, talk back and forth, give us time, ideas and thoughts to think about as well. Everybody from, Fireballs to In the Mix, you know, um, I had Flip Money here at some point, Nest and Up, NES and Up, J Dog, Dia, thank you, Dia Jazz Baz, uh, Snake Bite, uh, who else?
Smitty,
Lewis Frag, Smitty Smith,
Ian, Skogel.
yeah, yeah, so many. Gerald, Goldrum, uh, I saw somebody named Xbox All In,
Yeah, sorry.
Gogo, Gogo Pole, obviously Radiant 96, oh boy, Invader, Brian Dunloop, E-Rock, Radiant 96, I said already,
Yeah.
in the mix. Thank you to each and every one of you. If I missed any of you, I have Toolman 55. If I miss any of you, please forgive me. It's not personal. It's a lot to keep track after you've been on for 3 hours, and that comment section is on fire. It keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
So, guys, this is your boy Heba and your host of We Got Next. Glad that I was able to come back at you with another show. I'll try to do these more frequently, like I said, but it's better for me
Yeah.
because it's based on my schedule, and I don't have to, kind of rush or worry about when I could do something and when can I do something. And brother Sega Forever, shout yourself out. Please go subscribe to my brother because he deserves it. He's criminally undersubscribed. Yes, he doesn't put as much content as before, but when he does, it's always viable. It's always good. It's always informative and insightful, and that's what makes it so good and important. So go check him out and subscribe to him. Give yourself a shout out and let them know where they can find you, my brother.
Yeah. I kind of want to do a plug too, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna bring back on my channel. So yeah, it's Sega Forever, but my channel is Xbox All In channel.
Hmm.
Um, and I just wanted to. I want to do a new podcast on pop culture, just separately.
Hmm.
I'm putting it out now because I actually want you to be on this show.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
want to talk to you about He-Man.
Oh, you finally got to see it.
I watched it right when you told me to, but we never got to
Okay.
talk about it. And I watched the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would definitely like you to come on there because we need to discuss that.
So really fast.
Yeah.
Did you like it? Did you not
Yes,
like it?
I did like it.
Very
Yes,
good, right?
I would say that I think it helped that you talked to me about it,
Okay.
and I think there's people that need to get a perspective from somebody who's an actual fan of the series. There's some things I didn't like about it, but overall, I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, I liked it.
Okay.
And then when I started watching it, I could see what you were saying, and I think
Right.
people can benefit from that knowledge because I think a lot more people would like the show if they knew some of the more insider stuff that you were telling me. Because I only know He-Man from the
Right. Like the little details. Right. Hmm.
yeah the little details and how it translates. So
Hmm.
yeah, it was a lot more fantasy than I thought it would be.
Hmm.
I thought it was cool, and they did little things that I liked. Kind of like with the game High Res,
Right.
or what is it, Hi-Fi Res or whatever.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, Hi-Fi
Hmm.
Rush. I'll never.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had great acting. This Tony Todd, the Candyman, he was the one who played Scareglow.
Yes, and my girl, Mina Headley,
Mm-hmm.
Evil Lynn.
Mark Hamill, Skeletor, like they had really
Mark
good
Hamill.
acting.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we better stop with this like another hour.
No, you know why I asked is because the reality of it, I really totally wholeheartedly feel that it got so much unwarranted hate just because a lot of people do not agree and like Kevin Smith.
Yeah,
I know you don't like Kevin Smith,
it's not that I don't like him. It's just
or you don't agree with him. Okay,
well, no, he's just a different person now than he
right.
was.
But you have to sometimes learn how to
Separate.
separate the art from the artist, right?
Yes.
And that's what people don't get.
Well,
And
the kids saw that I watched it on Netflix. They're like, "Dad, you watched this?" I was like, "Yeah, Uncle Ivan told me to check it out," and I told him, "Yeah." So sorry.
I'm glad you liked it. We'll talk more in depth. Just let me know when you want to do it, because that I would love to. I don't have a lot of people to talk about He-Man to begin with.
Well,
I
I
think-
want you to talk about it the way you talked because I feel bad because I think there's people that I follow and I know why they don't like it.
Mhm.
But I think if people understood what they were actually going for, because Kevin Smith does a horrible job at trying to push his stuff if you didn't realize.
Mhm.
Like, and it's not like I don't like him. Like, just to be honest, Kevin Smith just set the standard that for movies that was just, he made his mark.
Mhm.
But he's anyway. I did enjoy it. So yeah, I would like to have you on to talk about it because I wanted to talk to you about it, but we never got the chance to.
Yeah.
Podcast
Just
would be
let me know when. Yeah, I'll come on and we'll talk. Yeah, for sure. I would love that. I would love that because, like I said, I haven't had a chance to have someone to talk to about it.
Yeah, it was.
Because I don't know a lot of He-Man fans. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the thing. I think there's people that think they're He-Man fans.
But they're not, right?
Yeah, and I don't mean that as a knock, dude. Look,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's just that for the reason like I'm a Marvel guy, people are like, why don't you hate on DC
Yeah, yeah.
and support Marvel? I'm like, why? I
Well,
don't.
well,
I
it's
never.
like when we talked about how all of a sudden you have all these Black Panther fans when they don't even know what Black Panther is.
Well, the worst was Guardians, man. That when Guardians came out and people were talking, I was like watching these guys, and some of these dudes are big YouTubers, and I'm looking at them like, dude, there's no way you read this.
Right, I have no clue. Yeah.
I was ostracized for reading the comic book, and I was with comic book fans.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Well,
you know,
just like me, I didn't gravitate to He-Man like I told you before, or if I didn't, well, I'm not telling you now. Like most people did because of the Filmation cartoon created by Lou Scheimer. No, I was gravitated by He-Man by the toy art on the boxes that reminded me of the Frank Frazetta artwork from Conan.
which we need to talk about because that's one of the first things that's grabbed me when I started watching the show.
Okay, right,
That kind of blew me away, actually. Yeah.
for sure. All right, guys, this is
All
your
right.
boy. He
Thanks,
got
Gogo. You see, Gogo.
forever. We got next 2023 first edition. Hopefully, one of many more during the course of the year. Love you guys. Have a good night. God bless all of you, and thank you for stopping by. Have a good night, guys. Bye bye.
Yep. Good night.
Let me see.
Are we off?